All right, guys. I hope you are ready. Welcome to episode 15 of the Drag and Drive Show presented by Summit Racing. Guys, my name is Michael Narks. I run dragandrive.com and the Drag and Drive Addiction Facebook group and brand. And my co-host over here is Eric White. Eric, introduce yourself real quick and let's get to it, man. We got a big show tonight.
Yeah, my name's Eric White. I run Motorsports Paparazzi and 815 LSX Swaps.
Yep. And let's jump into event countdown stuff and knock this out while we wait on our first two guests. We've got a couple updates to go over, and then we're going to jump in. We got a full night of guests tonight. We've got Jeremy Tapscott and Chris Vickers, which is exciting. We've got Greg Jones of Engine Builder Magazine, and we've got Devin Vanderhoof talking about Southeast Street-N-Yeet. It's going to be a wild night, dude.
Yep.
All right. You ready? All right.
Yes, sir.
Of course, we're 2 days from the circuit. I mean, it's 38 hours from right now.
Yeah.
Does that kind of freak you out a little bit?
A little bit.
Excited, anxious,
a little
maybe?
bit, because I'm leaving first thing in the morning, so I'll be driving all day tomorrow.
It's going to be hard for me to watch everybody's stories and posts as they're coming in, and I'm still at work. So, whoa, do you got me?
Yeah,
where did I go?
There.
Okay, good. All right, perfect. Well, the circuit is April 14th through 16th, Mocan Dragway. Again, we are cruise night on Saturday night here in Rogers, Arkansas. More details on that later. Cruise and Lose is April 22nd and 23rd at Kearney Raceway Park in Lincoln, Nebraska. Lincoln, maybe, I don't know, somewhere in there. And then Carolina Drag Cruise, May 10th through 14th in South Carolina. They do have some spots available. I saw that the other day. King of the Open Road, May 27th and 28th. We had Jared on last week. This event's going to be a fun one. Thunder Valley Raceway Park at Oklahoma City. Then you got Six Summer, June 4th through 9th at Cordova. It is sold out. I'm sure they're taking people on the wait list. Alaska Speed Week, which I'm excited. I've been messaging back and forth with the promoters for that, talking about some of the, will that event qualify for a regional or national drag and drive racer list presented by Summit? It will actually be a regional list because they're going to race for 3 days. BC Drag It Challenge will be a national level event because of the 4 or 5 days of racing. I think it's 5 days of racing for them. And then Rocky Mountain Race Week 1.0. Everybody talks about 1.0 and 2.0, but this is technically Rocky Mountain Race Week. And the other one is Race Week Rocky Mountain. June 24th through the 30th, Great Bend. It is sold out. It's sold out in, I think, like 13 minutes or something crazy like that. And I heard on the, I heard on the Clutch Burners podcast with Bill Armstrong and Rich Guido the other night, they had Tony from AV Boys and Miss Midnight Maverick, that they are bringing out her 69.5 stick shift Maverick, 12.5 to 1 in a car, which I think will make a lot of the naturally aspirated guys happy. And then a TKX stick shift, of course, because they're known for their stick shift racing. So she's bringing that out. So that's pretty exciting. That will be their first drag and drive to attend. Will be Rocky Mountain Race Week 1.0. And then Summit Racing Midwest Drags, which obviously I'm going to be there July 10th through 14th. Starts at Virginia Motorsports Park. Listen to me. Here's what I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking about putting a trans in the Narcs cart and driving it to Virginia. I think that would be fun. I'd be a little wind beat up, but I think it would be worth it. There are some spots still available for Summit Racing Midwest Drags. We are going to be at some of the fastest tracks to ever be in drag and drive. So that is 9 events in 3 months. So 9 events in 12 weeks.
Yes.
Wrap your mind around that, dude. I'm so excited about that. So it's going to be absolutely intense. So cool. Well, that's your event countdown and update. Let's jump into racer lists, which you guys see the world champion here. These racer lists will go into some of that as well. So let me get it pulled up here. If it will, maybe it won't. Nope. Why will it not? Dude, what the heck happened to my stuff? Let's try it now. There we go. Okay, perfect. So obviously we're on the dragandrive.com page where you can find all of the racer lists for 2021, 2022, and now we are moving into 2023. These are the current dragandrive.com racer lists presented by Summit Racing. y'all, you can see here all these 10 second, 11, 12, 13, 14, top 100. We have a 235 list for 8th mile, and we are in the 275 plus 8th mile national level list. So there are a lot of lists that are going to be out this year. We are going to make it easier to move through all of this stuff, but I want to congratulate everybody. This is a Southeast Street-N-Yeet spring list as of right now, because it's the only 275 national level event to have been completed. So we have Steven Salvati in first place right now with a 5.416 average, which we know that will not stand for very long. Ed Schwartz right behind him with a 5.430. And then you've got Mark Manor, 5.490. Walter Doyle, 5.637. And then Tracy Holtzclaw, 5.686. Again, you can find these on dragondrive.com, and you can scroll to the bottom for the 2023 lists of racer lists. So pretty important stuff. And we will actually probably have a few populated from this for this list once the circuit oh no, this is national. So we will create a regional 235, regional 275, 8th mile, both of those, and a regional quarter mile list as well. Lots of stuff coming, and it is all to make way for the PRI awards presented, the Drag and Drive Racer Awards presented by Summit Racing at PRI this year. I'm so excited about that. We're doing National World Champion. We're going to do a regional event champion, and we're working on something that was pitched by Summit, because obviously the World Champion is probably going to be a fast car based on the current rule set that we have, or points set that we have. We're going to do something for maybe the double-digit cars as well. So that'll be taken into account for all of the cars that maybe aren't a 6, 7, 8, or 9 second car. So excited about that. Now let's jump into the next bit here. So we talked about the racer list. We got to talk about the circuit, because obviously I'm the one that hosts that, and it's important to me. So 38 hours. Well, actually 37 hours and 52 minutes from right now. The gates open. Be ready. Loaded all the event merch on my brother's trailer. Literally, that's why I'm sweaty right now. I'll load the sodas and everything in my car tomorrow before heading north, as everyone else heads into town. We actually have had 3 or 4 people sign up in the last, I would say, day and a half to be off of the wait list onto racing. So we should see more than 100 cars, I would think. Depends on how many people fall out there at the last minute. There are a few Plan B cars that are coming, which should make for a stronger showing in the U versus U class. And I will say, behind the Street Race Power Adder 850 class, the U versus U is my favorite, or my second favorite. This class is going to be a lot of fun, because you're going to actually be able to turn your dial in. You're going to be turning your dial off of your 2 passes on Friday night, or on Friday. So before you leave, you'll turn in your 2 passes. Hey, I want my dial in to be 1032, and your 2 passes are slower than 1032, right? Because you cannot turn in a pass faster than your dial. I think that's going to make it a lot of fun. Then your 2 passes from Sunday will create your 4 pass average. And from there, we will decide the difference between your dial in and your 4 pass average, meaning it's going to be a very small window that's going to win this. And that's why we are awarding the top 3 finishers in that class. We'll have a champion, runner-up, and 3rd place. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think not allowing racers to turn in a pass faster than their dial-in is really going to change up the game a bunch there. The weather on Friday looks like it's going to be sunny, bright sunny, and 79 degrees with a good wind. And then weather on Sunday is a little bit overcast and like 65. So it's a good thing that we're bringing the Drag and Drive Addiction hoodies. But that's going to change up people's tunes. Like, are people going to go faster on Sunday, which they should go faster on Sunday because you're back at the track. You can turn the car up a little bit. But if you're in U versus U, you're going to have a struggle with that. So like, what's the strategy going to be there? Eric will be running around with the camera, talking to people, all that kind of stuff. And then lastly, I want to hit on the hard tire racing, and then we'll bring Jeremy and Chris in. The hard tire racing is some of my favorite racing, because it's great to watch. People will get, put too much power in, blow the tires off, all that kind of stuff. But it hurts the track for the radial and slick tire guys. So we will have the track open from 11 to 2:30, both lanes for radial and slick. And then at 2:30, we'll have a lane that the hard tire guys can race in. It's still open to everybody, but hard tire guys will race in one of the lanes. So just keep that in mind. If you are a hard tire guy, you can actually show up a little bit later in the day and it not, you don't have to, you're not going to be waiting around for your opportunity to make passes. So that should give depends on how many people in you versus you are actually on hard tires, but I would think we'll have 30 to 35 cars on a hard tire. That'll give them 2.5 hours to make passes. So surely we can get everybody 2 passes in 2.5 hours for 35 cars. So anyways, that's it. The circuit, you can find more details. You can just search the circuit on Facebook. You can search the circuitdnd.com and get more information there as well. All right, man. Hey, 12 minutes, dude. We blasted through that stuff.
Right.
I see we got Greg. Greg is behind the screen too. Well, let's bring in Jeremy and Chris Vickers. Chris, right?
Yeah.
Did I get that right? Okay, perfect.
Can you hear
Fellas,
us?
how are y'all?
Good.
Yeah,
awesome,
we can hear you.
Awesome.
Yeah, we got you. Okay, so the reason you're on tonight is because you guys are animals and destroyed your drive
Normally, only
shaft.
my wife says that, so that's awesome.
No, she doesn't. That's okay. So you guys, and then welded it up in the pits, right? Is that right?
Yeah, so they luckily up there at Shady Side, they have a little shop, and the guy was nice enough to let us use his TIG welder. So we wound up going up there and kind of Chris took a dead blow and just kind of beat the yoke back in and just said, "Does that look balanced to you?" I said, "Yeah, sure, send it." And guys, to be 100% honest with you, it felt more balanced after that than it did before. So,
that is absolutely insane. So
his
I'll tell you
icrometer
a
is so
story.
dialed in.
Right. I'll tell you, there's a guy that welded a drive shaft for us one night. It was like 11 o'clock at night, fixed it for a friend. He busted like 3 transmission cases because it was so out of balance. So when I heard that story, I was like, there's no way. But then you guys drove it all weekend.
We were definitely worried about it. But yeah, I mean, it wound up, that was, I think after pass number 2 that I think we tried, I think we made one pass. The second pass we tried again and it broke. And so every other pass all week long, including the personal best we ran, was with a welded back together in the pits drive shaft. So
man, I knew I liked you guys. Well,
what's wild is that
everybody...
wasn't even the craziest part of the week. That was the most mild part of it.
Oh yeah, we're going to talk about that too here in just a second. What is tell everybody what kind of truck it is, and the powertrain in it, drivetrain.
It's an 05 GMC Sierra that I mean, it's just a 370 cubic inch LS base motor, 4L80 9-inch, and the remnants of a 5-inch aluminum drive shaft. So, I mean, it's nothing super crazy to the build. I mean, it was kind of something that over the years, kind of a little bit of upgrades here and there, and again, they're run of the mill. I mean, nothing crazy. We're not setting the world on fire with it.
So where did the name Trash Can Pickup come from?
Well, we know you guys run a nice, clean podcast here, but if you want to know the truth, so for the longest time, I have a 1-car garage at my house. So for the longest time, the truck was always getting worked on just in my driveway. And you know how it is. You and your buddies are hanging out. You're drinking a few Diet Pepsis. And, when you're done with the can, you just throw it in the bed of the truck. Well, it would get to the point the truck would get so full that my wife would say, "Listen, we're either going to sell the truck or you got to do something about this." So we knew we had to get it running just to take it to the dump and dump the bed out. So after so many years of just filling it with beer cans, Diet Pepsi cans, it kind of just, it earned its own name. So.
Nice. So we're going to talk mostly about Street-N-Yeet here, but you've also done Hot Rod Drag Week, Rocky Mountain Race Week, and Sick Week, right?
Well, the first 2, I just kind of did a ride along, kind of did the road week thing, and that's kind of what piqued my interest in saying, like, man, I got to get involved with one of these. And Sick Week actually of last year, the first Sick Week was the inaugural one, was my first drag and drive I ever tried to do. And the trash can broke. I mean, it actually broke a drive shaft the night before. It lost oil pressure, all kinds of things. And so we just realized we couldn't do it. So I actually borrowed a buddy of mine's Yukon Denali and said, "Screw it, let's see what we can do." And still wound up running, like, I think I averaged like a 13.6 something in it all week long. And so this year we decided, like, hey man, we gotta do a little bit better. So we put it together for Sick Week, and we tried to get out and do pretty good. ran into some issues, and we still did a couple of personal bests in it because the truck had not been that fast before. But then Street-N-Yeet is when Chris came on as my co-pilot. Man, we really turned it up, and he got the tune on point for it. So
Yeah, I was gonna say I've heard he can tickle the keys.
yeah, he's pretty good. He'll tickle you too if you let him. Yeah.
That's what's great about a drag and drive is you're so close all week.
Dude, 100%. I mean, you can't describe what it's like to do one until you got to go do it to understand it. Anybody who's never done one, you can watch all the videos, man. You can hear all the stories, but until you just go do it, dude, it's insane.
Oh, that's for sure. Well, what happened? How did the drive shaft eat itself?
Well, I mean, realistically, what happened was I'd had it built, and it was kind of built in a rush. And so the shop that did it said, "Hey, man, like we're going to throw something together for you. Hopefully, it'll work." And they wound up like using a spool gun to weld it, and it just didn't get good penetration. So realistically, I mean, it held up fine up until a certain point. But like I said, Chris kind of did his thing, and we really wicked it up. And it once it started making some serious power, I mean, I think at one point we were doing mid 130 60 foots in a 4,300-pound truck. So,
Yes.
I mean, even a nice drive shaft was going to have some issues at some point.
So you did 11 passes with your quickest being 597 at 116. How many of those 11 passes were after you welded the drive shaft?
9.
9.
Yeah. Yeah. Not
That's
to mention,
impressive.
I mean, remember up until that point, we had done no street driving. So our entire street drive was also done. I mean, we were cruising at 70 miles an hour. At points, we were up to 80 just to kind of see what the vibration was going to feel like. And dude, when I say that it got better afterwards, but I'm not joking around. It genuinely felt better.
That's
We're not
awesome.
going to get into drive shaft business anytime soon, but side of the road, we're pretty proud of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys should take it to a driveline shop and see if they could, like, hey, see how close this is to balance.
We're scared for them to spin it up. I don't know if they put a cage around it when they do it or not, but they're going to need something.
Yeah, well, they needed it the first time. And then we heard kind of a wild story about you guys also holly swapping somebody's car in the parking lot. Tell us that story real quick.
Yeah, we were at I think we were at Shady Side when we were talking to guy Sean Barney with Barney Racing. SE SnY Pink, shout out to him. But yeah, good guy, real salt of the earth kind of people. But he had a car that was just small block Ford set up in an SN95. It was running like crap, and we were joking around. And I looked at Chris and I said, dude, I bet we could holly swap that. He looked at me and he goes, I bet we could holly swap that. And we were both joking, but neither one of us stopped the other one. So we told him, we said, dude, listen, if you'll buy a Terminator, we'll do the swap. No big deal. Well, then they didn't have the right Terminator in stock. All they had was the LS one. And so we said, well, it's a couple of plugs, no big deal. And so next thing you know, we're at Darlington, parked between the Twin Towers there in the Darlington staging lanes. And it's 5 o'clock in the morning. And Jesse from 3G was out there with us. Chris Story, photography. Brett. Brett. I mean, the rusty truck guy that was hanging out with us all week. Dude, we were all out there just 5 o'clock in the morning, just busting ass trying to get the thing swapped over. And what's funny is Devin's going to be on later, and Devin told us multiple times this will not work. He said you will not do it. So it was a little bit of motivation to say, yeah, we're going to make this work.
Yeah. So I mean, walk us through that. Like, how do you set that up differently than it would be for I mean, what's the difference in an LS and a small block Ford plug?
Everything.
Yeah, I mean,
they both have 8 injectors. That's where it is.
After you get past the number of injectors and cylinders, it kind of all goes haywire. I mean, we didn't have a crank trigger for it, and it's obviously a distributor setup, unlike an LS. So we didn't have a crank or really a cam signal to do. So we had wound up putting a front crank trigger on it, and kind of pulled the reluctor out of the distributor, and it had 8 teeth on it. So we cut it down to just one. So we'd have like a 1X cam gear. I mean, it was just, we were all over the place trying everything and picking up map sensors and having to wire those in and just, within, I think it took us total, waiting on parts and everything, like 18 hours, but we stuck it out. And luckily they were doing a test and tune at Darlington, and we were able to jump in, and he was able to make the pass down the track, and it went pretty good.
Yeah, Devin says, but hey, Laura went and got you a crank trigger.
Laura did. Hey, listen, Laura was the biggest help to everything in that, because we were not going to make it without somebody going to get it. And so she was a trooper. She said, yeah, screw it. She jumped in the car. I mean, Realistically, Southeast Street-N-Yeet it's one of the most fun events because it was the first time you go to a drag and drive and everybody there said, I don't care about anything else. How do we go faster? Everybody said, let's go faster. Dude, it was the coolest event.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely on my list for a fall event for sure. I'm ready. I'm ready.
I know there's
I'm excited.
there's some announcements coming up, so we're excited to hear what those are. Hoping for
so. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, guys, tell everybody where they can find the stories. I mean, where can they follow you on social, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, everything we have is under Zero In Racing. You can jump on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. You can find us there. At Trash Can 850 is the Instagram name for the truck, but we're going to try to post a little bit across everything. It's fun to make the content because if you're making content, it's because you're doing the events. So.
Man, hey, I'm telling you that, and the cool part is I tell people this all the time. If you just document that you're having fun, when you have grandkids, you can tell them, hey, look, Pawpaw was pretty cool at one time,
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Well, that's exciting. Well, guys, we'll have you on again at some point to give more details of all the stories and all the other stuff. So what other events do you have planned for the year?
Realistically, right now we're doing a lot of different things to the truck, trying to lighten it up. I mean, again, it was pretty heavy, so we're doing a lot of upgrades to it, trying to really come out swinging at least the fall event. That being said, I mean, there's a lot of time between then and now. So if something else pops up and we have the opportunity to go, and we're going to be in there as much as we can. And this isn't our only drag and drive car too. I mean, we've got a few others in the stable we can bring out that we're hoping for an event that we can make it to. So
nice, awesome. Well, I know that Drag Week's in your backyard, so
yeah,
that'll always make it good too. Well, cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming in and hanging out. Appreciate you telling the story.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
See you guys.
See ya.
All right, fellas.
Awesome, man. I'm telling you, Street-N-Yeet is on my list.
Yeah. We did have a question here from earlier. Will there be a live feed for the circuit?
Not this year. For 2024, yes, we are working on that right now for sure. And then for this year, my plan is to turn Eric loose with the big camera, and obviously he's going to have his phone, and we'll be using the StreamYard app and website to go live across all of the same channels that we're live on now at route stops. So I think there's at least 3 of the route stops for Saturday that have great service. There's another 1 or 2 that may be iffy. So we'll have to test it out. We'll just have to see. I know the track has decent service, if not everybody is live on their stuff at the same time. So should be able to get you guys a ton of coverage. And I know the Motorsports Paparazzi is going to have a ton of stuff on their page. And then I'm twisting Eric's arm to put stuff on the Drag and Drive Addiction pages as well. And then I'll be posting when I can, obviously, too. So, all right, well, dude, let's jump into another fun segment here. Obviously, everybody spends so much time on Summit Racing, and we thought it would be fun to find some products that maybe you guys have not seen yet. So, Eric, why don't you talk about this first one for us?
Yeah, so I was browsing around and came across this patio camping mat with the Summit logo on it, the checkered border, and Mike and I were talking a little bit before the show, and it looks just like a rug, but if you look at those chairs in the background, you realize how big this camping mat actually is.
And dude, it's 9 feet by 12 feet. So I think that's going to fit perfect under the 10 by 10 Summit pop-up tent I have. So I'm going to have to get one of these ordered for sure. And then this other part here, I thought was really cool. I'm going to have to order one of these as well for some of the fabrication that Steven does in the Narcoleptic Custom Shop. The mock-up replica blocks, I like this because it's not the plastic block. So you can actually you could weld up motor mounts right against this. I mean, obviously you're not going to weld them to it, but it's not like it's going to melt the plastic or something like that. And this is a long block, obviously, in an LS, but I'm sure they have all kinds of other stuff. But I did like the setup like a long block style, so you can actually build your header set and things like that off of this. So,
yep, and I actually saw this I saw this in person at PRI, but this was the first time I seen it on Summit. So when I saw it, I was pretty excited because, again, obviously 815 LSX swaps, we do a lot of work. I think this would be huge to have for us. And for $300, I mean, granted, you can get a block out of the junkyard for $300, but it isn't going to be as light as that is.
Well, and I was trying to see what the weight is on it.
Yeah, it can't be a
because
whole
that
lot.
would help you. And the other side of that too. Well, and the great thing is that, as I explain here, I mean, this comes apart. So when you're not using it, it stacks flat, which is a huge thing. You're not throwing, like the plastic blocks, you're throwing them up on the shelving up top or, hiding it somewhere and it's in the way later on. So I thought that was pretty cool, man. It was a great find for sure. All right.
Brandon, it felt pretty sturdy when I was taking a look at it there. Obviously, I didn't, try to pick it up or anything because it was on a table. But yeah, just looking at it,
that's
it
what you
felt
should have
pretty
done.
sturdy. Yeah, we should have got a camera and had me pick it up and see kind of what that felt like.
Right. Well, and I meant to get pictures of this. We want to say thank you to our friends at Sweet Patina. They are the sponsor for the Built for Drag and Drive, which we'll be featuring a lot of this weekend. If you guys haven't been on the circuit or seen any of the shares on Drag and Drive Addiction page, they actually sent out a set of TKO hand cleaning wipes, which are actually loaded up in the trailer now. I usually keep them here in the podcast room and in the shop with me. They basically a single use TKO hand cleaning wipes pack and a decal, and then a cool little write-up for all the racers and stuff. And they sent those out to everybody that had been registered at the circuit as of like a week ago. So pretty cool. I really appreciate Blake and the team over at Sweet Patina. And you can find all their products on Summit Racing and on sweetpatina.com. So pretty cool stuff here.
Question, we always show code DND57. Does that only work on Sweet Patina's website?
That is right.
Okay.
That is right. It does only work on sweetpatina.com, but I'm sure with the deal they have with Summit Racing and throwing your stuff in, anything over $99 is free shipping at Summit Racing right now. So you may be better off to throw that in with your parts that you're ordering to do one of the 9 drag and drives in the next 12 weeks. Dude, I can't believe there's that many events. So speaking of events, let's bring on Mr. Greg Jones, who is somebody that you have probably seen at most of the drag and drive events. I think last year you were at several, but you work at Engine Builder Magazine. So why don't you take a second, introduce yourself, and then tell everybody kind of what you do and what that means.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good evening, guys. Thanks for having me on. It's funny being on the opposite side of an interview. I'm usually the one giving interviews.
Yes.
So definitely excited for the chat this evening. But yeah, so I'm the editor and content director for Engine Builder Magazine. I'm also the content director for our motorcycle and power sports brand at Babcock's Media. And I've been there about 9 years now, a little over 9 years. So been doing it a little while, and this drag and drive stuff is pretty sweet. So definitely glad to get more immersed into it. Yeah.
Oh man, well you have definitely been immersed. So I met you at Midwest Drags last year, and then saw you guys again at Sick Week this year. First off, tell everybody where they can obviously follow you for stories, and then also the magazine on all social and the internet and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so our main website is enginebuildermag.com. That's where most of our content can be found. You can also subscribe there for our print magazine, which goes to professional engine shops and machinists around the country. And then our social media is, typically Engine Builder Mag across the board. Cool. Yep.
That makes it pretty easy.
Yeah, we tried.
How long did you say you'd been with Engine Builder Magazine?
A little over 9 years.
Okay, cool. That's quite a while.
Yeah, January will be 10. So.
Very cool. So I read the article, the Drag and Drive Revolution article. How did this article come about, and what made you kind of want to write about Drag and Drive?
Yeah, so I'd say I first got really introduced to it at PRI 2021. I don't know if you guys were there, but Tom Bailey had, a couple of his cars and then a bunch of other cars with all the Sick Week stickers on it. And, I was sitting there like, well, what the hell is Sick Week? Like, what is this? And I managed to get a hold of Tom and talk to him. And he kind of filled me in on the brand new event and said, come on down to Florida, check it out. So, you know, I'm up here in Cleveland, Ohio. So in February, it's awesome to escape to Florida.
Right.
Yeah.
So I jumped all over that and absolutely loved it, and got to talk to Tom about the event, talk about his history with Drag Week, obviously. And then I got connected with Hyde, and he filled me in on Midwest Drags and some more background about all this drag and drive racing and kind of how the different events are organized and what goes into it and what makes it regional versus national. And obviously there's different levels of cars that show up. And we just managed to do a couple interviews and get more information about it. So we did a couple features explaining it. And as you guys know, there's more and more events every couple of months popping up. So I would certainly say it's a revolution on our hands here, and definitely a fun one.
Well, and I think I'm most excited because it gets people out and about in their cars. That's what we, everybody's going to build a street car, but now like you're really having to get it out and do that. You're having to drive that car on the street.
Yeah, and obviously, people have different opinions about COVID and what the last couple of years has been, but I don't think you can sit here and argue that it hasn't benefited the car and automotive industry, and certainly some of the racing and the advancements in the last couple of years, and getting people back out there working on their projects that they probably didn't have time for before that happened. So definitely cool to see.
COVID has certainly helped get cars out and about. That's for sure.
Yeah, we had a lot of time to work on our cars for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, and we're still seeing effects from it, good and bad, but definitely seems to be much more normal these days.
Right. So last Hot Rod Drag Week, we saw the Swedes S10 trail Bailey just by a half a second. Who do you think can give Bailey a run for their money?
That's a great question, and I'm not sure anyone's quite there yet. If I'm being honest, like you said, he's got a good half second on. If he puts together a good pass, it's a half second better. I know, I've got a pretty good relationship with Steve Morris. Obviously, he builds that engine in Tom's car, and has one himself in his car. And he's been doing some stuff with Cletus and whatnot. So all these guys kind of running the same engine platform. And I know Steve's got his eyes on a 5-second pass, if he can get past some of the transmission issues that have been haunting him.
Right.
I think maybe he's got something up his sleeve in the near future, but and then with Michael Westberg, I know he sold that truck and is going to have to be coming out with something new. So who knows what he brings to the table the next time he's out.
Yeah, it's a first gen Camaro. So fastest cars are always first gen Camaros, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah. So will there be any future features on drag and drive events or racers?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I personally love it too much to not keep writing about it. We definitely expect to go to a few more events this year and over the next couple of years. So we'll definitely still cover it and keep seeing how the sport and these competitions in particular keep growing and advancing. So definitely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then for folks that don't know, which I think they'd be under a rock if they didn't, but you guys awarded the Engine of the Year to Jesse Havlick and his Opel Manta with the big block, and it's a drag and drive car. Do you want to walk us through how Engine of the Year is kind of, I don't know, I hate to say decided, but like what are some of the things that people can build thinking they may want to have that entered?
Yeah, so our Engine of the Year award actually stems from our Engine of the Week content series. If people are familiar with that, it's something that we've been doing about 6-7 years now. We've got some sponsors who have helped us produce that content in Pengrade 1, NPW companies, and L-Ring gaskets. And we produce a piece of content on an engine every single week, and the most popular for each month go into our engine of the year
Nice.
favorites, like a top 10 towards the end of the year. And really from there, it's not up to us. We leave it up, up to our audience to vote on those
So
top 10
cool.
engines. So yeah, Jesse had some good backing, and people voted for the big block. It's definitely a cool engine, and even cooler car.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love the look of that huge, I think it's like an 8 or 10 inch hood, and then the tunnel ram and all that stuff. But there were a few drag and drive cars that were on that list. I think Alex Taylor was on that list too. I want to say there was another drag and drive racer that was in there as well.
Yeah, I'm personally drawing a blank, and I should know. But you're not wrong. There's definitely 2 or 3 on there from drag and drive competitors.
Yeah.
So from a media standpoint, what are a few of the struggles you go through during national drag and drive level events?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys are pretty familiar with just the chaos that, I say chaos. It's obviously pretty organized. I mean, these guys all put together really nice events. It's generally pretty easy to follow along, but when you're trying to get content, there's that whole other obstacle involved. Trying to get interviews, trying to capture the guys on the track while also capture people back in their pit. So I'd say one of the biggest challenges is just the back and forth, and trying to catch people when you can. For all that
the miles you walk.
Yeah,
because there's action going on everywhere. Is on the track, in the pits, and then you've got the different route stops, and
so hear me out. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna build a golf cart that has my camera set up on it. That way I can just remove the camera and drive to the next person I want to interview. And then you just set the camera up and you do it that way, because you have a whole team that comes with you. There's like 3 or 4 folks with you almost every time I see you.
Yeah, absolutely. And big credit to those guys. I'm not a camera guy. I can push a little red dot to record, but outside of that, I don't have any clue what I'm doing with the camera. So I do the interviews. I try to look pretty and
there you
ask some good questions.
That's awesome. Well, what are some of your favorite parts of this style of event? Is it the racing? Is it the driving? Is it route stops? What do you look forward to the most?
Honestly, I mean, the easy answer is everything. It's all so much fun. It's also cool. Being an engine guy and liking watching cars go fast, I love the racing the most. But also watching the guys in the pits work on stuff, have to change things over, make another hit, or work their ass off just to get the car moving again to make it to the next stop.
Right.
It makes me glad I'm not them, but I enjoy watching those guys do that, because it's pretty incredible what they're capable of with just that little trailer, whatever tools they happen to deem necessary.
Yeah, and whatever friends come by.
Yeah, but the routes, the routes too, when they're done right, they're tons of fun. You get to see cool stuff, make awesome stops, and that's all part of the camaraderie too of all that.
Oh yeah, I think some of the stops can be a ton of the fun on the whole event, especially when you get to go to different automotive shops or different places that you might not otherwise go to.
Yeah, and I credit to Hyde. I know that's one of the things he's always tried to do is make each of those stops, automotive related. Last summer stopping at Cali's and Profiler, that was pretty cool. Because it's not every day people just stop in and check those places out. So
well, and one of the biggest things with this is like it actually gives you time to slow down and want to stop there. If you're with your family and you're on vacation, you're not taking the 2-lane. You're like hammered down getting to the beach or wherever they go in Ohio to vacation. I don't know if y'all go to the beach, but we do here in Arkansas. That's where we go first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a couple, 2, 3 favorite stories from the events that you've attended?
Yeah, you guys shared that question with me earlier. I was trying to think of a couple. And unfortunately, they generally involve some kind of crash or accident. But I'm pretty close with Stefan Rossi of Ace Racing Engines, who built Michael Westberg's engine, and obviously he just won Sick Week. But he competed last year with his Chevy 2 Nova, and we were talking with him before he made his first pass, trying to get a GoPro in his car, and just kind of the timing missed it by like 30 seconds. Didn't want to bug him, that late in the staging. So obviously he makes his hit, and he busted some kind of water line or a hose and got water in the wheels and ended up in the wall a little bit. Still ended up running like a low 7-second pass, but that was pretty crazy just because we were that close to like capturing the footage right inside the car. And, Stefan after the fact was like, man, I wish you guys had the camera in there. I wanted to see the view.
That's one thing I always ask. Was the camera running? Was the camera, were you recording? One thing that's really cool about his story from that event as well is that, he almost put the car up. He almost was like, nope, I'm going home. Screw this.
Yeah.
But, a lot of other drag and drive racers were like, no way, man, we can make this work. You can drive it. And he ended up making passes every day that week. So that's a huge win. And I think it probably helped his shop, but then also just the mental attitude to go through that, put the car back together in a way that it can drive and make the rest of the week. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, being the guy that he is, I'm sure he was disappointed not getting to show off the car in the way he would have hoped. But like you said, he grinded all week, got some help. And I'm blanking. I think they call it the Sickest of the Sick award.
Yeah, I think so.
He ended up winning that for, just grinding the hardest all week. I think like the third day of that event, they broke down the side of the road and somebody ended up having to drive like 2 hours back to Orlando or Tampa. I forget where they were, but 2 hours back, then 2 hours back, and a lot of late nights for him that week.
That's normal in drag and drive life. Eric's fixing to find out this will be his first drag and drive event this weekend at the circuit, so I'm excited for him to have that. And then now, you're around this kind of stuff all the time. You're writing about this stuff all the time. Do you have a project car that's going to be a drag and drive car, or do you like covering the events too much?
I do love covering the events, and unfortunately, I do not have a project in the works. But I tell you, every event I keep going to, it makes me want to start one more and more. So, it might happen sooner than later.
That's awesome. And then from from an engine builder standpoint, do you think? I don't know. I'm a turbo guy at heart, but do you think we're going to see a wider range of stuff? Turbos have obviously been leading the pack most of the time. Do you think we're going to see like some more nitrous or blower cars come out and be competitive in drag and drive?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't see why not with some of the supercharged stuff or pro-charged stuff. To your point, you're definitely seeing tons and tons of single turbos, twin turbos. To my knowledge, Dave Schroeder is the only nitrous car that I've personally seen. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there was a couple others I just didn't even realize was nitrous. But a lot of guys get a little nervous about nitrous or have something against it.
Well, and especially that much nitrous.
Yeah.
Four kits and all that kind of stuff. So,
you asked earlier about who might beat Tom Bailey. I feel bad for Dave because he was out early last year at Sick Week, and then obviously had that bad crash this year. I was really looking forward to seeing him make some fast passes and seeing what that would be like.
Well, and they've said that car's had fives in it. It was capable of running fives, but there was a picture they posted the other day that had the old car out. So maybe they're going to bring it to Drag Week this year and do some stuff. But I think you're right. As far as front runners, that level of car, I think they're the only nitrous cars that are out there. So what's a big NHRA class that runs nitrous stuff? Can we get some of those guys over here in this?
Yeah, something tells me the street would not not do well for them. But
Yeah, they're like radiator. What's that?
yeah.
So, what events are on your schedule for this year?
So obviously we were at Sick Week. We really want to be at Drag Week because we didn't go last year to Drag Week, so definitely looking forward to being there. Obviously Midwest Drags is on our radar, but I would say it's really just those three at the moment. Rocky Mountain Race Week is one that I would love to do. Just a little harder given the timing and being out west. It's a little tougher for us to make it out there, but one of these years I hope to do that.
Yep. Now with the entire team going, like, do you guys load up? Is it a caravan of dudes or ladies too running around with camera gear and stuff, and you guys drive like a van out or something? How do you get to events?
Yeah, so typically, if it's longer than 6 or 8 hours driving, we do fly, and then just pick up a nice big rental car and follow along. But yeah, if it's like with Midwest Drags last year, that was kind of in our backyard, so to speak. So that was easy just to drive to and follow along.
That's cool.
Yeah, generally we've got 3 or 4 of us going to events like that, just so we got people that can do the interviews, 2 people that can be at the track, capture some of that stuff simultaneously.
Yep. Now, a little bit of a media question here, but do you guys edit while you're on the road, or do you typically gather content while you're on the road and then edit once you get back?
Yeah, so unfortunately, because Babcock's Media's got all these other brands and the video team is, kind of split amongst doing work for all of them, it's tough for those guys to edit on the spot. I wish that was more of a capability that we had so we could pump out content kind of as it's happening, but more often than not, it happens kind of after the fact.
Well, and like Eric and I both know, it's harder. It's better if you're going to do it later to have a better video. And you guys do that. Obviously, your video stuff that you put out, and obviously your photos too are amazing. So that's really cool.
Thank you.
Flipping back to some of the engine builder type stuff, with as many, and this is an opinion, how many engine builders today are capable of building an engine that makes 2,500 horsepower that lives? Like anybody can build one to go once or twice, but like, with what you see, are there a lot that are out there that can build that kind of power and survive?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, that's an opinion question. And, it might be a good survey question one of these days to see what people think if they're capable of that stuff. I think at 2,500 horsepower, you're definitely narrowing that list down in terms of making that, horsepower live on the track and the street for a whole week. I think if you were talking at 1,000 or 1,500, that list grows quite a bit. 1,000 horsepower these days is pretty standard for most of these engine builders around the country, and they've gotten pretty good at doing that. I think the other thing that comes into play is just people's niches that they're in. Not everybody's focused on a drag and drive application. People might be focused on circle track or focused on the higher levels of drag racing or road racing. So it really just kind of comes down to, if drag and drive is something that they're interested in trying to get customers, for. And if that's the case, then they're probably pretty good at doing it.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see the next wave of that, because there's not been just a ton of racers that are builders that have been like, hey, all we do is drag and drive. There's been a lot of engine builders that have made stuff work. So I think that's the next wave there. But Eric has a question here.
Yeah, in the chat here, Going Bracket Racing says, what's the best power adder for drag and drive in your guys' opinions, and why?
Yeah, we'll let you go first, Greg.
I think the easy answer there is turbos. I mean, obviously you see tons of them. Again, whether they're a single turbo setup or a twin turbo, that's just been the popular choice. It's fairly easy to make big power. With all the different EFI stuff out there, the computers these days, tuning that stuff's really pretty simple. So I think that's got to be the power adder of choice at the moment.
Yeah, I agree 100%, and I like the way they sound. The one thing that's great, the one thing that's great about turbo stuff is your valve train can be easier on stuff. You're for the drive part of it. Typically, unless you got some wild combo, you're probably driving around at 0 boost anyways. If you're just cruising, and if you're not, it's 1 or 2, 3 pounds, and so you're literally just creeping along with a valve train that doesn't take 2/3 of the capacity of an NA drivetrain. So, that stuff to me is good. And you don't have a pull on the crank from a blower pulley. Eric, what do you think?
Oh, I'd agree as well. Turbo, I think, is the best bang for your buck. I mean, look how cheap you can get turbos nowadays as well. I mean, there's plenty of companies that you can pick up a fairly decent turbo that's going to last for cheap.
Well, I mean, I've beat on the C10 truck that I've got that's a junkyard LS and a $400 turbo, and I've just beat on it really hard, but it's got a good valve train in it and really good components there. But that's the only thing that's good in it. Like the trans is old junk used stuff, and the really nice converter, really nice valve train, and everything else is just, thrown together.
Anthony Harval, winner at Street-N-Yeet, he also says turbo. Jay says turbo. So and then Devin here has had a good comment. Says Par Racing Engines 540 BBC has done everything I've ever wanted and hasn't missed a beat. So when we talk about good engines and stuff like that.
Yeah, we've talked to the guys down at Par. Yeah, good shot.
Yeah, and then Devin went from I think a small block Ford setup in that white Mustang to this big block Chevrolet stuff, and it's been night and day. I mean, he put down some 440s, I think, on a 275 or 315 tire at Street-N-Yeet. So pretty impressive. That car is coming out swinging. It'll be at Midwest Drags and Hot Rod Drag Week both. So
nice.
Yeah, Alex says just got to pick your poison. That's right.
Yep. Somebody also has a vote for blowers here too.
Yeah, they sound cool. I mean, I'll give a Roots blower the sound is great.
Yeah,
they're definitely effective if you do it right. I mean, they're going to be right there with a turbocharged engine. It's just someone said pick your poison. It's kind of the truth.
And a lot of times a Roots blower is easier to package. So if my wife drove a Tahoe and I wanted to put something on it to make more power, I would put a blower on it because I don't have to worry about how's my AC compressor going to mount and all that kind of stuff. Now, Daddy drives a Tahoe and I want a turbo on it and fender exit and all that kind of stuff, Well, let's talk about, obviously we are extremely pumped about the world champion deal for a drag and drive racer and things like that. There's a lot of stuff that, the naturally aspirated guys, that's a huge portion of the racers. Now, I know we haven't released the point standings yet, but what is your feeling? Do you think an NA racer can win something like this and be consistent enough to take home something like that?
Man, I don't know. In my opinion, I think that's just such an uphill battle against some of the turbocharged guys. Just because it's so much easier for them to make that high horsepower and put a good lap down. I'm not saying it's out of the question, but I think they got an uphill battle. Yeah.
Well, I think you go back to, you've got one guy in the sevens that's in A, and his stuff is so ragged edge that, anything, if the air is wrong, if a bug flies in front of him, it affects everything, and power adder guys have just just one more dial. Oh man, we need to go a tenth faster, one more dial, so I know it's not that easy, but that's the way it works. So well, what are some things that we haven't asked that you want folks to know that are out there?
Well, before I get into that, you guys were asking about stories. I had two others came to mind that I thought were kind of neat. So at Sick Week last year, we were following Steve Morris around a little bit, and he was having some heat issues on one of the drives. Couldn't keep the engine cool. I forget if he had something go wrong with the intercooler or a radiator or something. But he ended up taking a Budweiser beer box and laying it over the top front of the engine to let air kind of pass straight over to the engine there. And he said it like saved 20 degrees and kept the engine nice and cool. And I just thought that was kind of a neat story, and
that's a win.
Fun drag and drive engineering there. So
yeah.
And then this year at Sick Week, and I'm not going to remember the guy's name, unfortunately, but that '59 Volvo that wrecked really bad at South Georgia.
Calvin Nelson and his dad, Andrew Nelson.
Yeah, that was one of the craziest crashes I'd personally seen at a track, with it going over the barrier and everything. So that was pretty nuts to watch, and really glad that he was relatively okay. Obviously, he got some bad bruises and some broken bones and whatnot, but pretty insane.
What's really cool is like those guys are very, very smart. They're both engineers. Their whole family is engineers, but they way overbuilt that car. It had like a full-on 650 cage in it, and it would have never really needed to go that fast or that kind of cage to go as fast as they were. And so, they preach it all the time. Safety is a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And you see it every weekend. It's saving somebody. So kudos to all those folks who are in charge of safety in the cars and the tech and all that. So
that's awesome. Well, man, listen, this won't be the only time you're ever on here. We want you to be on often. I think would be a lot of fun to pick your brain on some. I'd like to go deeper on some stuff. Once we get some of the world champion stuff kind of rolling, and we can talk about some of the powertrains that are capable in there and things like that. I think it'd be great to have you on and kind of, I don't know, you have a lot more knowledge than I do, and I'd love to dig some of that out and talk about some of these cars.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and I would be happy to come back. Great talking with you guys, and like I said, I've really enjoyed being immersed in the drag and drive stuff, and there's still a ton of those events out there that I haven't gone to, so definitely looking forward to checking out more of it.
Yeah, and then Ohio, there's some 2 events this year that are at Milan, Michigan, that are weekend events. So maybe you guys can sneak away to some of those, and we'll obviously love to read the content and all the articles and all the stuff you guys do. Engine Builder Magazine is great. And then tell everybody again where they can find you guys.
Yeah, so our website's enginebuildermag.com. That's got all our content. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Engine Builder Mag is our handle on most of those, so definitely check us out. We typically have stuff up, new stuff almost every day, so definitely check us out.
You guys are wild, man. I can't imagine what it's like riding over there with you guys. So, well, cool. Well, thanks again, Greg. We really do appreciate you coming on and spending some time. I know it's probably getting later. It's almost 9 o'clock there in Ohio, right?
Yeah. 9 o'clock. So not a problem.
Putting a little bit of overtime. So, all right, man. Thanks so much. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Fun to talk about this stuff. Thanks, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. What a fun job that would be.
Right.
I mean, I couldn't be an editor. I don't think those guys are really smart, and I'm not really smart. All I know is I like cars that go vroom vroom, and drive on the street. So we've got. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I read that article, and it was very well written, and it's I actually thumbed through the rest of the magazine as well, and didn't just read the drag and drive article, but obviously I spent most of my time on that one.
Yep. The photos and just the way they explain a lot of stuff is really cool. And I really enjoy just the way they are bringing more coverage to all these events, and as we see cooler and more interesting combos come into the drag and drive community, I think, magazines like Engine Builder Magazine bring that next level of stuff in. They can, because they're going to a wide range. Like Sick the Mag is great because they cover so many drag and drive event and racers, but then Engine Builder Mag goes to everybody. Like you said, dirt track racers, engine builders, everybody that is interested in making their engine as efficient and fast as possible will probably read that magazine. So having the extra eyes on drag and drive is a huge win for all of us.
Yep.
Well, dude, we got, I see Devin and Laura moving around backstage a little bit. We'll have them on in just a second. We want to talk about obviously some of the race car friends we have. So if you want to thank our sponsors, I'll bring up my notes for the other stuff.
Yep. So before we jump into the next section, we want to thank our race car friends over at Molly Motorsports.
Molly Motorsports is the official piston of DragAndDrive.com. Molly's Power Pack piston is the perfect candidate for your drag and drive car. Molly Motorsports competes in drag and drive events and supports our community. Project manager Eric Grillo raced a 10-second stick shift Nova at Hot Rod Drag Week 2022. He's also competed in Rocky Mountain Race Week last year with his C10 truck. Visit mollymotorsports.com for the most recent line of products.
Dude, he has such a great voice.
Right?
This is great. All right, so let's talk about our friends at Racing Junk. They are the official classified buy-sell trade of Drag and Drive Addiction. Y'all, Eric went through, found some cool stuff this week. I'm really interested in this. I need somebody to let me borrow about $3 million.
Right? I
know you said it's only 1.9, but I got to move there. I got to build a car, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, make sure the facility's all up to date. This one was total accident. When I found this, I was looking around and looking for cool things that we could show tonight. And as I was scrolling through, I just happened to catch this one, and it's a Midwest track. I actually didn't catch where it's at in the Midwest, but it caught my attention.
Just says
I was
Iowa.
like, okay. I was like, we definitely got to show that one tonight.
Yeah, and then it's Tri-State Raceway. Looks like wherever that's at. Somebody will know, but it says it up here, but I can't read it on the screen here. I mean, yeah, it's crazy that you can buy a racetrack on RacingJunk.com. So pretty neat deal. 100 acres, RV park, all that kind of stuff. So great find there, dude. And 1.9 million. Come on, somebody write that check. Let's go. And then we saw this last time when we did this feature, cars and trailers for sale at the same time.
Yeah.
Pretty cool setup.
I think one of yours that you showed was a car and trailer. This was, I think it was a 55 Chevy and a trailer.
Yep, 24 closed trailer, 59,000. I mean, it's crazy when we think that sounds reasonable. This looks like Lexan windows and stuff like that. I think it said it's a big block.
Yep,
it looks like it could be bought as a roller as well, updated later. I think this is what I like about Racing Junk too, is like, as you see, they're adding stuff and it shows when they added it and all that kind of stuff. Here's what's sad: less than 25 runs on the car, dude.
Right? That's
sad. So 475 big block Chevrolet Mark IV, 4-bolt block, all that kind of cool stuff. 59,000. That's a pretty good deal. And then obviously you get a trailer with it. So all you got to do is bring your truck.
Right. And 25 passes. Somebody buy that and make it into a drag and drive car. So passes won't matter. Let's get some street miles on it.
Right. Yeah. That car would probably be an unlimited car, depending on the front end, just because of the Lexan glass and stuff like that.
I think it said it had a 750 cage in it too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's probably pretty quick.
Yeah, I love S10 trucks for fun, cheap drag stuff. And dude, 12.5, come on.
Right. And that's a running driving truck, I believe.
Wow. Yeah, small block Chevrolet. I mean, dude, you can't get any more an easier setup than this. It's already got shifter and it looks like a cage in it.
Yep.
Yeah. Sweet. See what the rear setup is here. Sorry, I'm not very good with the pictures here. I was trying to see if it had like Caltrax or anything. No, it looks like it's just a leaf spring truck. What rear end is that? A 8.8 or is that a 9-inch? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Anyways, a little bit of nitrous. I mean, surely tuned by JP. Where is this truck? Tuned by JP is south of Knoxville, Arkansas. This is even local. Cool.
Think you better go buy it.
No. I need 4 doors for my ladies. 355 turbo 400, 9-inch. That's cool. Yeah, 10-inch wide wheels. Huh. Interesting. Shows 13.5 here, 12.5 on the listing. Again, all these are found on racingjunk.com. Really appreciate them stepping on board as the classifieds. Guys, make sure that you sign up for their newsletter because they send that out weekly, which is pretty cool. And what you don't know is that part of our deal is that we're put into the newsletter. So there's a banner ad that's running for the Drag and Drive Addiction Group. We certainly appreciate them thinking of us and bringing us on. So, love the friends and family over at Racing Junk. Intend to make that a bigger part of our stuff going forward. We have a lot of stuff planned for later in the year, and they're going to be helping us get into events and all that kind of stuff. So without further ado, let's bring in, looks like Devin and Miss Laura right here. How are y'all?
Good. How about yourself?
Oh,
Good.
man, it has been a crazy week. I'm doing what you guys did like 2 weeks ago. You're making all the final phone calls. You're getting all the stuff set up.
I didn't do shit. I'm just kidding. She did most of it.
Yeah. Devin's the pretty face.
Right.
Laura's prettier and works hard.
Right. Well, somebody's got to do something around here, and it can't be me. So,
You're too busy spending 5 hours on Sloppy Mechanics radio show.
I'm doing something, and we work a lot. So, yeah, we work a lot, too much. So, our event was kind of a nice break, even though it was work without pay. That part was bad, but it was actually a lot of fun. We had a blast. So,
oh man, and we're going to talk about your car because you took the white car down, and but I want to talk about like how the event went first. It looked like everybody had a blast. We had Jeremy and Chris on earlier talking about the welding up the drive shaft and swapping a Holly setup and on an LS Holly setup on a small block Ford. I mean, like, did they bring you the computer after that and they're like, hey, will you tune this?
No. So I tried to like make a rule where I like to myself that said I wouldn't tune anybody's stuff during our own event. And one of the things is, I wanted to point this out, the whole event, I think I said, put air in your tires and hit it with more power to like everybody there. Right. Because almost everybody there wasn't used to racing on a racetrack as good as what we have. Right.
Yeah.
And literally, like when we got to Orangeburg or South Carolina Motorplex, I remember standing in the staging lanes, hear a car popping and banging on the two-step, and then they let go of the button, and I hear it just go like, "Urgh," and like pull the motor down. And I was like, man, y'all have got to try harder than this. You know what I mean? Like you got to hit it with some more power. But it's funny. I said I wasn't going to tune anybody's stuff, but I wound up watching a lot of cars make passes and kind of just trying to give them advice about like, hey, most of y'all need to put more air in the tire, like a lot more air in the tire and a lot more power. And but I didn't tune anything though, so that was good.
Nice, dude. Yeah. That's pretty impressive. Now, I saw the car making like a 449 pass, but I didn't see it in the list of entries. Was it just like an exhibition pass?
Yeah, no. So I would never run that car in our own event. Just because I don't think that it's right. You know what I mean? Like I just don't feel that it's right. I mean, other people can do it and that's cool.
And it's too hard. It's just too hard.
To be 100% honest with you, I could have handed the car off to two of my friends and they could have ran the program perfectly and I'd have done nothing and they'd have done very well. The car does everything you want it to do and it's very easy to race, right? So I wouldn't have had to do anything, but I still don't feel like it's right for me and Laura as the people that are putting on a race to have a car competing in it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to win. I want everybody else to win. You know what I mean? So, no, we just, we brought the car. Well, we were at Sick Week on 235s. We put it on 315s and threw in the towel on that immediately. That didn't work out. Car's just not built for 315s. And then, so we put it back on 28s or 275s. And we were just working on a soft, like 117, 60-foot tune-up. Wound up going mid-30s with the car.
Wow.
With the clocks off with the clocks weren't supposed to be off. The clocks were supposed to be on at Orangeburg, but they had a problem with the clocks themselves. And it's kind of odd because they didn't realize until a couple of days prior because every race there is clocks off. So when they went to go test the clocks, they were like, wait a second, they're not working, No, so we just wanted to get a good, soft, easy, like, 430s tune up that'll go down just about anywhere so that we can run it at some of the other events that aren't going to be racetracks nearly as tight as what we're used to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
there were a couple people who asked why he didn't actually run the car in the event, and then they saw, I think it was like the 449 pass, and they were like, "Oh, never mind."
Yeah. We went like a 49. Like on day one, we went like a 49 and a 41 with pretty easy 60 foots, like 117, 118 60 foots, and then day two we were like, I worked on like we went another 41, but with a 125 60 foot. Like I slowed it down early, sped it up late. I'm just trying to build some profiles in the Davis profile or traction control system, just so that like when we show up to a racetrack and I go out and I look at the racetrack, I go, okay, it's going to hold this, because I'm a big fan of like one and done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of my move. I like that, right?
Yeah.
We did really good with that with Sick Week, and I plan on trying to do that again. So no, we just took the opportunity to try to just make some test hits, and we also got a good friend of mine, Josh Davis, who helped us run the event. We got enough passes at Darlington for him to get his license to go 6.0 in the quarter. So, it was like kind of it worked out. You know what I mean? It was we just did it for testing, but we tried to benefit as much of it as we could, since hell, we're going to be at a racetrack for 5 days anyway. We might as well be trying some hits. So,
I mean, that's 100%.
Yeah. It was a good time. Our focus though was 100% on making sure that our participants, our contestants, whatever you want to call everybody, our racers, were like number one. You know what I mean? That was number one priority.
And it showed with everybody making posts and all the pictures and all the videos that came out. Man, it was I really wish I had gone to that event big time.
I like our event a lot. Obviously, we're biased, right? Because it's our event, right? So, like, of course, you should like it. It's just like everybody with their kids.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't like anybody else's kids except for your own. We don't have kids, so we don't like anybody's kids. But I'm just kidding. I'm just messing around. But we're pretty biased just because I feel as if we try to keep it a tighter knit group, and we do more to take care of people more. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's a more personalized thing. Like when you come to our event, we know everybody's name. I mean, in fact, I think I got on my golf cart and I ran after somebody made a hit and I saw that they ran like a PB. I rode over to them in their area, like where they were pitted, see how everything went. He was all ecstatic. He was excited. You know what I mean? Just making sure, everything we talked about again with tires and whatnot, that he was, he was good to go. And I just try to always like make a good connection with everybody that's there. So
Luke Pierce here says, I just got in here and thought Devin and Laura were in the back of a van.
There's too much of a glare if we put the shop lights on.
Yeah, if we put the overhead shop lights on, it looks like a white light. I mean, it's just way too bright in here. So we got a Milwaukee light standing up over in the corner, because otherwise we're going to this.
Yeah, Jay Blanchard said, "Turn some lights on. Looks like security camera night mode."
Yeah, you don't want to. You don't want to see.
It looks good. Yeah, you guys look fine over there. Well, obviously, looks like there's new stuff in the shop, so we're going to talk about that in a little bit. You guys have, you stay so busy and so booked that it's really cool. I'd love to talk a little bit more about that. I want to talk about the automation as well, because that was one of the things you talked about last time being on here, and how that affects people's drag and drive experiences, because the less they have to think about.
For sure.
But Eric has a good question about the trophies, because we want to ask about that, because that was pretty important.
Yeah. Loved seeing the pictures of everybody with their gold chains. How did that idea come about for that to be the award?
Last year, before we did the last year's event, we were sitting around with a friend, Josh Davis, and a couple of us. There was a bunch of us that were all in on this, thinking about how to do this event. And we were talking about trophies. And at first we were like, well, we can get those like big, like WWE wrestling belts and stuff. Like those would be kind of cool. And somebody was like, man, gold chains are gangster. You know what I mean? Like we need to get some cool shit, something that I got a room full of trophies from racing that we've won stuff, right? And I don't look at any of them. Like, it doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? Like, there's a pile of them over there. Some of them are thrown in boxes. But I was like, man, if we had a gold chain, I'd probably wear it as one bitch out to, like, IHOP or something. You know what I mean? Like, And we just thought of it, and Laura was like, I like it.
I found some, and they're heavy. They're not like plastic. They're heavy chains.
Yeah, like that picture of Anthony wearing that, like his neck's probably hurt.
Yes.
That thing's every bit of like 8 pounds.
Anthony said he's doing a year-long daily journal of that Gold Chains adventures.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, the chains were cool. We just thought that they would be pretty cool, and it turned out to be pretty cool. So
Yeah, I thought it was awesome.
yeah, we'll do that every event. We'll make sure we do that every event, unless we can find something cooler. You know what I mean? So,
right. Now, did you guys hit any new tracks for this year compared to the fall event last year?
Yep. So so this past event, we started at Shadyside Dragway, and then we went to South Carolina Motorplex, or South
Carolina Motorplex.
I know it as Orangeburg, but South Carolina Motorplex, also known as Orangeburg Dragway, which if y'all have never been there, that'll be the fastest track you ever go to in your life.
Oh,
that is, and I'm not making this up. That is one of the fastest tracks you'll ever go through in your life. That track is absolutely amazing. It is extremely tough. I'm talking about radial tire track. We had a couple guys on slicks that literally I thought they were going to have to be buying dentures. You know what I mean? Like they were about to knock their teeth out from shaking the tires. We left there. We went to Darlington Dragway, which is the host for Drag Week this year. And then we left Darlington and went to Union, which was the track we were at last time. And then we knew we were going to get hit with rain on Friday. So we did something that nobody else has ever done in a drag and drive. And we made the executive decision to go to Shadyside on Thursday night. So
you guys are animals.
Yeah. So
we're really good at like hitting those curveballs when they're thrown at us.
Yeah. The cool thing about where we're located at in the Southeast is that myself and all of our friends, we've all raced at all these tracks for so long that we know the owners of these facilities personally, right? It's not just, that's the guy over there, wearing the red hat that owns the place. We know all of them, right? So on Wednesday night at like 9:30, we're sitting here at the house, and I said, what are we going to do about Friday? And Laura's like, I think, what do we do? And we said, screw it. We're going to try to double up. We're going to try to double up and go Thursday. We're going to go Thursday morning in Union. Union was fixing to get hit with a little bit of rain around 3:00 in the afternoon. So I said, the track will go hot. You know what I mean? Everybody gets their hits in, hit the road by about 3:00. And then 6:00, we're going to be over at Shadyside. I sent a text message to the owner of Shadyside at 9:30 at night or something like that on Wednesday night. And I said, hey man, we kind of need your racetrack tomorrow night. Like, you think it'd be cool if we hop in? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. So, and it worked out. It worked out really good. Everybody loved it. I think everybody had a really good time with it.
And what was the mileage between those two, you said?
So that last day where we jammed both tracks into the same day, we cut the one checkpoint out. So it wound up being like right at like 48, 50 miles, something like that. It was it was a short drive, but it was like, for what they had to do, I felt like it was fair.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Checkpoint optional, because a lot of people still had to go into that area for E85 who needed it. So it worked out. If you wanted to stop, you could, but we didn't make it mandatory.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. And, like you said, you're the only one to ever do that, run two in one day. I mean, so I would think as a racer, I'm like, man, I'm gambling. Do I make the drive on the tires I'm racing on, or do I swap over and then swap back? And are we trying to get this done in a 3-hour window? So, I just can't imagine.
Yeah. So basically, it probably sucked for a lot of people, but that's okay. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what drag and drive is.
That's kind of the name of the game. You know what I mean? Like if you can go to a shootout and run like 3 rounds and win, and it's easy. Yeah. It's one night. It's easy. You go home, whatever, you're tired the next day, but this is hard, right? So we were dealt a hard decision to make with the rain coming. And we said, well, if it's going to suck for us, it's going to have because I didn't want to, no matter what, after the hurricane last year, we were like, we're not, I don't give a shit if we start flagging people in the highway. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna get another round of racing off no matter what. And and everybody was like, when I held the drivers meeting on Thursday morning, I was like, hey, sorry, but this is what we're doing. And everyone was pretty amped about it. I don't think anybody was mad.
Anybody was mad. A lot of people thought it was like kind of just like a cool little toss in there. They were like, oh, well, we weren't expecting that, but screw it, let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what's really cool about everybody that it's in Drag and Drive is because like, I don't think we heard any complaints like about that for sure. Cause that throws off a lot of people's plans, so.
You're talking about a day that is definitely now is jam packed, but like 40 miles, that's pretty easy. But at the end of the week, you're so tired,
Yeah. So it's interesting you say that the double header thing, right? I see a bunch of people.
For the folks that are listening on the podcast later, Luke Pierce says, I thought the double header was cool. Maybe every Street-N-Yeet should end that way.
So interesting. He says that. So our fall event, it's not going to end that way. But day 2 is going to be 2 racetracks. Wow.
How cool.
So we're going to do 5 tracks in 4 days.
Yep. We're going to do 5 racetracks in 4 days. Yep.
Dang.
So, it's about I think it's 104 miles between the 2 tracks we're going to be going to.
Yes.
But we're going to be track hot in the morning racetrack. The track's going to be hot at 9 a.m. Until about, what did we say, 2 o'clock?
I think 2 or 3.
2 or 3. And then track goes hot at the second racetrack at 4.
Wow.
So if you, cool. You plan ahead. I mean, at least it'll be easier this time because you're going to be able to plan ahead.
And on that day, we're probably not going to put a checkpoint in between. So it's just, you're going to start at one track, you're going to drive to the next track and then go on from there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, the checkpoint is the second track.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Yep. Exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. Like after we saw how everybody was pretty amped about the way the 2 tracks went and that nobody else did it before. So we were like, screw it, let's just do it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that makes sense.
Yeah. It was really cool and everybody was pretty jazzed about it. So we're going to keep going.
Sounds like a lot of people in the chat are excited about it too. So
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that in a minute because I want to do like a whole big thing that I can then cut down and we can put that on your channel and stuff like that. So, what about favorite cars of this event? Was there any like top level cars or anything that you were like, I like this?
So, if you guys don't know, I like really, really fast stuff. I have a reasonably fast car. I like really, really fast cars. And I'll say this, and it's going to sound very weird coming from me, but I didn't have a favorite car at all. I never really ever have a favorite car. It's usually favorite people, right? It's never really favorite car. You know what I mean? Because like, is this like a PG show or am I allowed to like talk freely?
Yeah, we can talk like adults. Yeah.
Okay. So like you can have a really awesome car and then the person who owns it or drives it or whatever could be like a douche. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then the car's not awesome.
What?
Well, bitch, you pointing at me? But then it kind of ruins the whole deal. You know what I mean? But then if you have like a car that you're just like a normal whatever, but the people are awesome, it means more to you, right? So like the one that really like, and I don't know if they're watching or not or what, but the one like group that really stood out to me the most, I don't even know if she knows this, is Walter Doyle and his wife, Catherine. Oh shit, is that him? Look at that. That's him. That's him, right? Okay, so he was watching. So they stood out to me the most because they had like a rough start, right? So they lost their race wheels and tires off of their trailer on the drive from the first drive, right? Like they bounced off the trailer, whatever, the straps came loose, something happened. They lost them, right? And they were like a mess, like looking for something. So all they had was their street wheels. So he was ready to throw in the towel. And apparently they talked about it and they said, man, we've done so many of these and we've never given up. We're not going to give up. Right. And they stuck it out and found them a set of tires. And they were going to a tire shop every morning and every afternoon and having tires changed because they didn't have bead locks. Right. So like they like down the road from a racetrack, I mean, they were doing, it was a lot of work. But the how happy they were to be able to do what they're doing meant more than like, it didn't matter. His car's cool too. Like his car's really cool.
Oh yeah.
His car's very
I'll pull
cool.
it up now. Yeah.
Yeah. His car is very cool, but like he could have been in a Ford Fiesta, you know what I mean? Like a 1993 Festiva. Well, if he was in a 93 Festiva, I probably would have really liked it. But you know what I'm saying? It didn't have to be anything spectacular. They were awesome. Like they were really cool. And they made, so like when you ask about like the best car, I can't really say the best car. Those to me, like they embodied everything that was really awesome about this event and about all these events. You know what I mean? And I mean, and I'm not trying to like downplay anybody else's efforts or hard work that they put into it, because a lot of people put in a lot of hard work into it. But those were the two that they stood out to me. I remember when we were at Darlington, they were having problems spinning the tires and it was wadding the tire up. And he asked me what I thought and whatnot. And I wasn't watching the car. So myself and his wife, I grabbed his wife and said, come here, I'm going to show you how to video. I'm going to show you how to video this tire, right? And I'm going to show you what to look for. And she was nervous, right? And because she, I mean, I get it, you know, you got a lot of people looking, whatnot. And I told her, I said, screw them. It doesn't matter. This is your racetrack for right now. Like this is yours. Like you own this racetrack right now. And we got her videotaping, or videoing the tire in slow-mo. I walked her out on the racetrack after it spun. I showed her what to look for. And I think an hour and a half later, they turned in a time slip that was very close to their personal best. So I was like,
that's awesome.
That meant everything to me. You know what I mean? So.
And after all was said and done, they took second in Unlimited.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know that I have a favorite car, but I don't think that we saw some old faces at this event and there were some new. And I think that's one of the things that stands out about the drag and drives to me is that it's a very tight-knit community. Everybody's awesome. There was like not a single person that I met that I was just like, screw that guy. Like they were all awesome. Yeah. You know, everybody wants to be friends. Everybody wants to work together. And like they're all cool. You guys are awesome.
So, well, we come from like, I do a lot of like no time grudge race, heads up racing, that kind of stuff. And if you've never been to that, it's a dramatically different vibe, right?
Yeah. Nobody's giving you parts in that thing to keep you going.
No. It's kind of miserable to go to that stuff after you go to enough drag and drives. You know what I mean? You know, because like you want to have a good time with the people that you're there with. Like even if you got to race against somebody, it doesn't matter. You should want to have a good time. And they like suck the fun out of it. So like the drag and drive stuff is awesome because of that, you know?
Oh, and some people like Nick and Aaron, I don't know if I'm saying their name right, Dino. Yeah. From Pennsylvania brought me a Yakko's doggy pack.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah. They brought her Yakko's hot dogs from PA because we're from PA.
Most nice. Don't know what that is, but.
Yeah. So
here's some photos I just got as well.
We
love the manners.
They're awesome. Yeah.
They are great people.
That's so fun. It's good. Yeah, no, I mean it was a great time. Like the coolest part about I think about the past week that we had was that like everybody, there was never a moment where people thought that they were like just getting flat out steamrolled or outran because I didn't let anybody know what anybody was running, right?
Yeah.
I just didn't tell anyone. But
let's talk about that after you finish there, because that's one thing on my side of stuff, where we're tracking things and all that kind of stuff. It makes it so hard for me because I'm like, oh man, I got to know every morning. I look forward to jumping up and getting those, but I really do think it is a really cool feature of Street-N-Yeet.
Yeah. So there's two parts to that, right? One, I don't want somebody who's out in front to know that they're like for sure definitively out in front by a mile and then sandbag the rest of the event. That sucks, right? And two, and this one might be hard for y'all to believe, I'm lazy and I don't want to do it.
That is hard to believe.
So it's not that I'm lazy. It's just I didn't want to do it. I was like,
Well, and also the surprise at the end of the event when you're giving out awards, people are like, shit, I won.
Yeah, like some people had no idea that they were even in the hunt, which is cool. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I don't want, you know what I mean? Like it sucks to sit there and like look out to a crowd of people and like, okay, this, and this won. And everybody else is just kind of sitting around like waiting for it to be over so they go home. It was a surprise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I think
we'll
that's
continue.
really cool.
We'll continue to do it that way. A lot of people were asking me like, how am I doing? I'm like, it seems like you're doing great, man. You know?
Yeah. Hey, it's day 3. You're still here.
Right.
Right.
They're like, well, am I in front? Be like, in front of a lot of people. Yes, sir. Yeah. There's a lot of people here. You're standing in front of them. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So now the racers still do turn in a time slip to the table or whatever every day though, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
That's
It's
cool.
just like every other drag and drive. It's just that we don't post anything. Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. Again, I like it because I think at the end of the day, those racers, and you said it on the last time you were here, you want the racers going all out every time, not, hey, I've got this by half a second wrapped up. If and then everybody's doing the math. Okay, well, if they run a 6:73 or slower, I've got this in the bag.
Right. Yeah. It's I wanted everybody to just have to push. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So unless you're standing there watching and logging every single car that's making a pass, it's really hard to know where you're sitting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yep. Luke Pierce says, I like how it keeps the competition going and the awards for each class winning are well worth competing for. Well, yeah. I mean, dude, the huge gold chain and they also got other trophies too. There were stuff for their desk and things like that I saw too, right?
Well,
like
so we pay out cash. We pay out like the gold chains. We pay out cash. We pay out gift certificates from our class sponsors. We give out gift certificates to from our title sponsors. We give out, we gave out so much stuff.
Last place gets some cash.
Oh yeah, last place gets paid.
I love that.
Yeah, last place gets paid, because their week sucked. You know what I mean?
It didn't suck. They had fun, but they didn't get anything.
Suck, but like nobody really wants to come in last place, Although we did have a couple people that were like trying to compete for last place.
Yeah.
Which is all right.
Like, wait, maybe I'll not go as fast this time.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the class that, and again, I like really fast heads up stuff, but the class that blows me away about this was Dial Your Own. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. We had a tie 000 off their dial, right? 000 off your dial. And we had a tie.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell is that?
I mean, I want people to understand that. And that's after 5 passes. So when do your guys turn in their dial? And then I did see, they're able to kind of make the math work. So they can run a little bit faster. They can run a little bit slower. They can do whatever they need to be there, which I think is genius. Yep. We're changing ours for 2024 to be more of that kind of style.
Yeah. So you turn in your dial on day 1 when you turn in your first slip.
Wow.
So I get your dial. Like we get your dial when you turn in your first slip. You don't get to change it. It is what it is. And like obviously the people that have done this before and like racing this type of stuff or bracket racers, they're smart about making sure they don't dial too fast or you know what I mean. But when the end of it, like when we had 2 people, they were 0.000 on the dial, right? So going into Shady Side on Thursday night, we had 4 people tied at 000, right?
Wow.
That's insane.
And I was literally like ready to just like go out there and like spraying water behind the tires and stuff like on the racetrack, like just to like screw them. You know what I mean? Like, like you can't have this. This is ridiculous, And I remember telling her on Thursday when we got to Shady Side, I said, man, they better screw up. Like somebody's got to screw up because I don't know what to do about a tie, And we still had a tie, a 2-way tie, and we gave it to the faster car because it's harder to put together that package. You know what I mean? We did come up with a solution. We did come up with a solution if we have another tie. Laura does not like my idea, but I said that we're going to make them Indian leg wrestle with no pants on, face down, to decide who the tiebreaker is. And
I said we were going to have a big wheel race.
Laura wants to have a big wheel race.
Like the tricycles.
The little tricycles.
Yeah. Crap ones. Yeah.
Yeah, so, I'm a fan of that. And so the 3 folks that were in that hunt looks like Bobby Admire, who won it, and then also won last year and this year both, and then Frank Wanaka and
Ryan Morris.
Gotcha. Ryan Morse.
Yep,
Awesome.
Yep. Yeah. So Frank was off by 0.001. Ryan was 000, and Bobby was 000. So
Man, that's wild.
And I think there were two other people, maybe one or two other people that were
yeah
001.
Yep. Yeah. There was two other
But we
people.
did
I
it
think there
by
was one other person that was
fastest.
0.001, but Frank got it because he had a faster car. And there was a hand, like, I mean, we sent you the results. Like, you could look at some of it, like how far off they were. It's like, whoa, this is unreal. I was blown away by it.
Intense. Yeah. Super cool setup. And I mean, I don't know how, is that how Sick Week is ran to where you're trying to hit that dial? I don't remember how they run their dial your own. Is it no?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Sick Weeks is slowest and fastest makes your division, makes your difference.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that's right. They do a deviation. You know what I mean? So like whoever had the biggest deviation from all their slips, which we thought about doing that, but we figured out, we'll just do what we planned, and I think it worked out well. I bet you Ryan Morris would run the Indian leg wrestle.
Yeah, I think that's really cool, and that's what I love about seeing all these new events is like all these different ways to do the same thing.
Yeah,
and how everybody's going to come up with a different way, and somebody's way is going to work well, and then that's going to be the new normal. And I think yours is a good one for that.
We're doing something else a little different for our fall event. I don't know if you want to talk about this or whatever you want to talk about. You tell me.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and jump into. I think that kind of wraps the other stuff. Maybe congratulations to Anthony Harville winning the 235 class. I think he went mid fives. Hang on, I'll tell you exactly.
I think he had a 6.0 average. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know off the top of my head.
I can't remember. I believe it was a 6.0 average. Which I was anticipating him. I was anticipating him to knock us off of the number one spot on 235s, but he just didn't pull it off.
He was close.
He almost passed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So good for him. And he had a video that was on Facebook that was awesome of just rolling big gnarly burnout.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But I mean, we had him and Klausner. They had really good rolling trailer burnouts. They had really good rolling trailer burnouts. It was pretty cool. We didn't do anything with. We should probably do a trailer burnout contest. She wanted to do something like that, but I was like,
Man, again, it's so hard. Where and how do you almost got to have somebody kind of behind it. You got to I don't know, do something. Yeah. Anthony says 6.0 average with the 593 fastest pass. Yep. Before we move on, any carnage or roadside repairs that were a top story for you?
So, you already talked to Chris and Jeremy about the drive shaft, and then the what's it called, the Holly EFI conversion from Holtec in the pits of Darlington overnight. That was ridiculous. We had I don't think we had any other major carnage. Phil Tobin was leading unlimited, and then he broke a valve, so he was out. That's true. Lee Locklear, he brought his that Ute, the Ute, like UTE. It's like an El Camino from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Kangaroo El Camino. He snapped a pinion in a 9-inch off on like day one. They fixed it, put a brand new pinion or brand new gear set in it, limped it through day two, made a pass, but was like really soft. He showed up like on day two, like 15 minutes before the lanes were closing.
Actually, the lanes were technically already closed, and I ran up to the tower and was like, "Hey, you got to let this guy make a pass."
And then they left. Then they were the next track, and they at Darlington, and it broke. They broke it again. So it was a shame because like all the guys from SB Tools, they were a sponsor for us for 235. The whole crew from SB Tools was there. They're all awesome. They're all awesome people. SB Tools actually sponsors Limited 235, which is like ran at like Ducks races and in the Carolinas and whatnot. So they're a big proponent for 235. And they were there. They were set up the whole time. They were loaning out tools to people and, you know, giving people stuff to work on their stuff with. So they're an awesome company. They were a great sponsor for us, and we love to have them there, and we love to have them back.
That's cool. Yeah.
So
Anytime somebody is good with 235 stuff, I'm a big fan of theirs.
Yeah. Yeah. We decided to pull my car off at 235s. We probably won't do it anymore unless somebody else outruns it, you know?
Yeah.
So
I can appreciate that.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's move to the fall event, because I know there's a lot of folks that are asking about it. Are we going to get it? Do we just refer to everything as Street-N-Yeet spring and Street-N-Yeet fall? Is that how we're going to, that's the easiest way to do it?
Follow your heart, man. I don't, whatever. You know,
all right.
I don't
Perfect.
know. You know, I'm not very good at, you know, formalities. You know what I mean? So,
Hey, I like it. That's what we'll call it.
We're obviously not very good with names. Our event's called Street-N-Yeet.
Yeah.
I love it. What are you talking about? Everybody loves the name.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a
It
funny.
started out as a joke,
Yeah.
and then like we were like, screw it, that's what we're gonna call it.
Yeah. So dates, tracks, or not yet? Yes. So day one is going to be, so this is going to be a 4-day event. What we learned from this past event is that there's a lot of drag and drive races out there this year. And it is very difficult to take off an entire week from work, right? Mm-hmm. It is, right? I'm like numb to that. And it was kind of like an eye opener for me this like a week ago, because like I work for myself, right? So, and I work 7 days a week. So like, to me, it's like, well, I just have to take 5 days off and that's it. And then, you know what I mean? I have to find an 8th and a 9th day in the week and figure it out. But I think that, and I'll say that, I think that we maybe made a mistake making it a 5-day event, right? So we're going to go back to a 4-day event. The first day is going to be Thursday, November 9th. So that, and it's going to wrap up on Sunday, November 12th.
Sweet.
So so Thursday, we'll probably wind up doing like a small test session or something on Wednesdays for people that want to come in from out of state or whatever. Mm-hmm. But Thursday, we're going to wind up doing registration in the morning and, start making passes on in the afternoon. We'll leave registration open all day like we did with this event, so that I don't really care what time you get there, as long as you get there and you're able to make a hit before you are supposed to turn in a time slip to me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
For as far as tracks, we will always, unless something dramatically changes, we will always have Shady Side as our home track. And
oh, cool.
And the reason being is because, and I hope that some of the people that are in the chat and that were at our event will agree. I hope they agree. The guys at Shady Side are like, it's a family, right? So it's the 3 brothers, right? The dad and whatnot. And they live on the property, right? So they live in the house up on top of the hill. They have been like they're a family, and they treat everybody like a family. They really give a crap about everybody that's at their facility. They will work very, very hard to give you the best racetrack that they can and make sure that you have a good time. Nobody ever, at least as far as I know, nobody leaves Shady Side unhappy. You know what I mean? And that's what I care about. And they're like, to me, they're a cool little, like, just like Jared said, it's a badass little outlaw track. The staff's awesome. It's really, really cool little spot. Mm-hmm. So they'll always be our home track. I'll tell you the rest of the tracks, but I probably shouldn't. And the reason I shouldn't is because I'm just waiting to hear from one other track to confirm. We're 99% sure it's confirmed, but I don't have it in writing yet. So we can always
wait on those if you want to.
Yeah, screw it, we'll do it.
I know them. Do you want me to do this?
Yeah, she knows them, so I don't.
So we're going to start at Shady Side on Thursday, November 9th. So mark your calendars, take off work, whatever you got to do. From Shady Side, we're going to go back to South Carolina Motorplex. We'll race there in the morning. And then Friday night, we will race at Carolina, so House of Hook in Aiken, South Carolina. And then after Aiken, we will go back to Darlington, and then Darlington back to Shadyside.
How cool.
Yep. So, so you'll be going from Motorplex or Orangeburg to Carolina. It's about a 105-mile ride. And that'll happen on Friday. And then I think our total route was what, like 500?
It's a little over 500. I haven't done any checkpoints or anything
Yeah,
yet.
it's a little over 500 miles total. So
that's awesome. And that's a huge trip for, what is 3 nights of driving. For
sure. Yeah. It's action packed. You know what I mean? So it's kind of crammed in there, but I think that it's for what we're trying to do. You'll be on racetracks that are fantastic. Everybody that was at our last event can attest to it. So the prep at all the tracks will be killer. If you go to an event and you're upset about your performance at a drag and drive event, or if you're coming to catch us on 235s, I will tell you this, that if you want to take out that number 1 spot on 235s, the only opportunity you're going to get to do it is going to be at our racetrack, at our racetracks. I think because we were going 129, 60 foot at Sick Week on 235s. We went 111 or 112 at Orangeburg.
Wow.
So, just an idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thought, we probably could have went high 420s on that 235 at Orangeburg if we wanted to.
That's crazy. Jared Klausner says, go 5 PSI higher at Orangeburg. General rule.
Yes. Yeah. We put tire pressure in it for sure. So that's our plan. 4 days. We're going to be doing 5 different types of racing there. 5 different stops for racing, I guess you'd say. And we are also adding 2 things to our classes, I guess you would call it, right? So we're going to pay out top 3 in all motor, right?
Wow.
So there's not going to be an all motor class. I'm going to tell you all. I'm going to spill the beans on all of it. So it's screw it, right?
Breaking news.
Right. So we're going to pay out the top 3 all motor cars. Not going to have an all motor class, but we're going to have the top 3 fastest all motor cars. I don't care if it's a dial your own car. I don't care if it's an unlimited, a limited, a 235. It doesn't stick shift, doesn't matter. Whatever it is, top 3 of the event in all motor. Okay. And it's got to be of a slip that you've turned in. So if you're a dial your own car and you're on motor and you turn in your time slip that was close to your bracket, but it wasn't faster than, somebody else, then, obviously you're not going to win. We're going to add a class that we're going to be calling daily driver. And I think that this is actually going to be quite appealing to people. Rules for it. I got to look at my board.
I can't even read that. Who wrote that?
Justin wrote it. I can't read his chicken scratch. So it has to have an overdrive transmission, and a gear vendor does not count, right? So no gear vendor in that class. Like you have to have like a 4L80 or something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
Back seat.
You have to have a back seat.
No methanol.
No methanol fuel. Exhaust has to be like within 12 inches, 18 inches of the axle, the rear axle, right? You have to have a radio. You have to have a back seat, and you have to have wipers.
Yes. Okay, here's a hilarious story. I messaged the group that helps me with the circuit stuff today, and I was like, listen, I'm creating a true street class next year. It's got to have working wipers.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we thought about it, so like everything, like, so me, Laura, and our employee Justin were talking about it, and they kept coming up with rules, and I was like, it wouldn't take much for me to switch my car over to fit that. It wouldn't take. So because that's kind of like the litmus test for us. It's like, hey, we need to be able to rule my car out of it, no matter what. Like we have to make it damn near impossible. You know what I mean?
I can't imagine. There's like normal folks pull up in this class thinking they're going to do something, and then there you are. They're like, "What the heck?"
Right. It's just not right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gear vendors is an overdrive. You're right. but not in my class. Next.
Yeah. Yep.
El Camino doesn't have a back seat. Yes, you can still play in daily driver because it didn't come with one because there's nowhere to put it. My wagon didn't come with a radio.
And then Street-N-Yeet has to have wipers.
1904.
What year's your wagon? Like that, I don't believe that, right?
Go to Walmart and buy one.
Right. Put a boombox in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'll count it if you show up with a boombox in your wagon.
And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about our event, I'll talk to y'all about whatever the hell you want to talk about. But yes, stick transmissions would work in that too. That's fine. The stick transmission would work too. Because it's an overdrive. As long as it's like not a 4-speed where the final drive is 1-0. You know what I mean? And don't show up with a Liberty talking about how you have overdrive. You know what I mean? So
Bluetooth speaker count.
did it come with that from the factory, Bronson Porter? No, it didn't. So put the factory radio back in. Not the factory one, but it doesn't have to work, I guess. Jesus. We're talking about mute these people.
Yes,
So-
it has to work. Dang it.
Yes, it's supposed to work. So anyway, that's another thing Ryan Morris brought out. Yes, we're going to go out to the 4th digit for DYO.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah, we're going to go out to the 4th digit. The last thing I wanted to tell y'all about our event, and again, like I said, we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. We're going to do something a little different on the last day. Okay. So I don't know if anybody else does this or not. They may, but it's new for me. So you're going to be hitting 5 race periods, right, in 4 days, right? So for the first 3 days, you're going to have 4 shots at a racetrack, and you're going to turn in 4 time slips to me by the time you get to the last day. I'm going to take your 4 time slips and have your average, okay? The fastest 1st through 8th, no matter the class, is getting put into a bracket, okay? The fastest 9th through 16th is getting put into a second bracket, okay? And the closest in DYO, top 8 in DYO, are getting put into a bracket. And we're going to have 3 shootouts on the last day. So 1 through 8, this is at our event, we decided we give out a lot of stuff. We pay out a lot of stuff. We give a lot of stuff out. The way to split that up, I think, is you'll still have a class winner, right? So there's still going to be hey, if you won limited, you won limited, right? You're still turning in 5 time slips across 4 days. But on that 4th day, we're going to have a bracket, and you can turn in your time slip from that shootout, right? And still be in the running for winning the event. But it's going to be a heads up shootout for the heads up classes, 1st through 8th and 9th through 16th. And
cool.
It's going to be heads up pro tree. Your reaction time is going to count. It doesn't matter if you run faster, than somebody else if they beat you on the tree, and then money will get paid to the winner of the shootout, right? And the winner of the shootout can also be the winner of their class. It can be the same person. You know what I mean? So that's, I think, is something different and something pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
And the dial your own class, when they do their shootout, it's going to be off of their dial in. So just like a standard bracket race, right? Mm-hmm. So number 1 qualifier will be the person who's the closest to their average, right? And number 8 qualifier would face off in first round, 2 and 7, standard pro bracket. So I think it's a way for us to take everything that we give to the winners and try to spread it out a little bit and have more people have the opportunity to win some stuff. It also drives more people to be better on the light and, kind of practice on that. Yeah. I don't know if anybody else has done that before. It might be a really stupid idea. It might make everybody really happy and might be pretty cool. But the only way we can find out if it sucks or doesn't suck is by doing it.
Yep.
Yeah. So Rocky Mountain runs a shootout at the end of their events, and same kind of format. So your 4 days locks in your average. You have to break the beams day 5, and then they kind of break it down like that. But what they do differently than what you do is they'll take the fastest 8 cars across the board, and those guys race, and then the next fastest 8 or 16, and then do a bracket style for the rest. So
that's what we're going to do. We're going to take the fastest cars of the event, not just the class.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking classes. Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
I guess I didn't realize that they did it, but does everybody like that?
Yeah, I mean, everybody. I think one other benefit to doing it that way too is like it gives. It's another reason to keep your adrenaline pumping for the week. It's not like, oh, hey, we made it back. Let's make our one and done pass and be done. Now it's like, okay, now we got to get ready to go 3 rounds, 4 rounds, to win all this.
Right. I think it's cool for the spectators to watch too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think that the spectators love the idea of shootouts. You know what I mean? Because we want to see side by side racing. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's I think it'll be a good time. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or it won't. But the only way we're gonna find out
here's the thing. Rocky Mountain tried it and everybody loved it. Now they do it at both events. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, the shootout idea is great. I think it gives another reason for people to, again, you're trying to, you got to survive the week. That's rule one. You got to make a pass every day. Rule 2, you got to run as fast as you can to get your best average. And then rule 3, now you got to figure out how to get your car to survive those 3 rounds and win your class.
Yeah. And I also think that the dial your own shootout would be really interesting too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there may be guys I know I watch the guys they'll make 20 laps or 10 or 5 laps or something to get their ticket, right? But they're not up on the tree. They're not on the light. You know what I mean? So it may give somebody an opportunity who's maybe qualified 8th and still win because he's a killer on the tree. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it'd be pretty cool. And when I first got into the drag and drive stuff, I'll be honest, I wasn't crazy about the bracket racing side of it, right? Mm-hmm. Because like I said, I really like fast stuff. I just like fast cars, right? Yeah. But I learned at our last event, even at Sick Week, and then now this event, the dial your own class is the hardest class.
Yeah,
that is the hardest class. That is absolutely the hardest class. And it doesn't matter how fast or how slow they are. They were better at what they do than everybody else that's there. You know what I mean? I know I got a fast car. My white car will go 640s in the quarter. You just let go of the button, it does everything for you. You know what I mean? They had to I don't know how they did it. I don't know, whatever. They did a lot of work to get them.
Well, I mean, you got to think about now you're doing the math every pass, trying to be as close as possible. I love that kind of stuff. I love the 850 class because they can't go faster. And a lot of those cars have been, are 7-second cars, but they can't. They just can't get there. Yeah. We're going to bring a couple bricks of $2 bills to bet on the shootout. So
funny story about that really quick. Chris Vickers bought a Pro Dash from us and he paid a portion of it in $2 bills. When I say a portion, I say at least a third of the bill in $2 bills. So we decided that that's how we were going to pay out the last place awards.
Was in $2 bills.
Was in $2 bills.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're probably going to wind up getting a whole bunch of them beforehand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're probably going to get a whole bunch of them before the next event and make sure everybody gets paid out in $2 bills.
Yeah.
Or weird. We'll make sure they get paid out in weird money, not just $100 bills. It'll be something weird.
Right.
Nothing but Susan B. Anthony's. You know what I mean? Nothing but Susan B. That's all you're getting.
Sacagawea dollars.
Yeah, Sacagawea dollars. Here's a sack of them. You know what I mean?
800 pounds.
Right. It's something ridiculous.
Was the third track, was that the House of Hook?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Here you go, Sheldon.
Yep.
House of Hook.
Yep.
Yeah.
Carolina Dragway.
Yeah, Carolina Dragway. Yeah. Yeah, and if anybody's like I said, if you're into this stuff, right, and you want to be on a really good racetrack, that's the one thing that I can promise, right? That's the one thing I can promise. I can't promise how many people are going to show up. I can't promise that we're not going to get rain. I can't promise that we're not going to have a class full of killers, whatever. I can't promise any of that stuff. What I can promise is that if you show up, you will have a surface that you can race on every single day that is very, very, very good. Now,
that's awesome.
When we were at Orangeburg, I told everybody in the drivers meeting, I said, if you spin, it's your fault. Simple as that. That's it. And that's the truth. You know what I mean? A lot of these racetracks that we go to, if you spin, it's your fault. It really is. So, so I encourage anybody who wants to try to get, it's awesome what you guys are doing, right? So you're keeping track of all these fast cars, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to go really fast, there's your opportunity. So.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, I'm probably giving too much info here, but we are going to have some special awards for 8th mile stuff, you know, so like not only world champion includes an 8th mile event, but also at the same time, the regular, you know, dragandrive.com racer list presented by Summit Racing. At the award show, we're going to have special stuff for the 275 plus list. We're going to have stuff for the 235 list, both national and regional. So that's both cool. Of your events are national level events because you're racing for 4 days.
Cool.
So that's a plus. And when we start talking about national level events and awards, I mean, those are obviously more than just a weekend event. So there's more prize there. There's more, you know, awesome. And maybe a little nicer trophy, all that kind of stuff. Cool. That's going to come along with that. And so if you have an opportunity, I mean, dude, November is going to be great weather out there. The air is going to be perfect. The temperature is going to be perfect. Like, I mean, you have a real opportunity. Plus, the other side of that is there's no other 8th mile event that's after yours that we know of right now. So if you're going to lock in something, that would be the time to do it.
Well, the other thing is, this is the way I look at it, like November. Because like we get to race just about every year, all year here, right? Like we can race just about all year here. But the way I look at it for anybody who's not from down here, maybe they live up north or whatever. If you come to our event in November, you're going to be running in sub 1,000-foot air, right? It's going to be minimum or maximum, like you're going to have 1,000-foot DA max. Most of the time you're negative, you know, 500 to 700 foot, right? Yeah. You're going to be on a racetrack that's amazing, like amazingly sticky, right? And if you're prepping, I feel like everybody who races is prepping for the next one, right? If you're prepping for the following year, I think the first event of the year is Sick Week. If you're prepping for Sick Week for 2024, then this is the event to come to. Yeah, because you figure out what works, what doesn't, and you'll have a couple months to get ready to go for Sick Week. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's a lot of work, and we lose money every time we do it. But the people that have helped us, our sponsors that have come on board to help us, and the people's faces when they get back on the last day and they're all pumped up, it makes it worthwhile. You know what I mean? So we got a great group of friends that help us with everything. I just want to mention them. Laura, obviously, she does a lot. I was going to make it look like I was picking your nose. And then my good friend Josh Davis, he was a huge help to us for the first one, the second one. Eric Tyler is another huge help. And then our sponsors like Motion Raceworks. That's something. Motion is awesome, right? So I know you guys, you know who they are. So I sent Doug a text message like last year. And I said, or not Doug, I sent Tristan a text message when Tristan worked for him. I said, hey, we're going to do an event. You want to be a part of it? And Doug text me and said, I'll call you at like 3. I said, okay. He calls me at 3 and he's like, what are you doing? I said, it's a drag and drive event. He's like, all right, what do we need to do? And I was like, I don't know. And he says, all right, well, figure it out. We're in. Doesn't matter what it is. Okay.
That's cool.
He didn't care because Doug wants to see it grow. Yep. Right. And that's like the way I look at it. Like we sponsor stuff as a business, we sponsor stuff and I don't even ask what it is. I'm like, is it about racing? Is it going to be pretty cool? All right. Well, then give them money or whatever they want. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's going to be cool. Doug was like immediate. I want in no matter what I have to, I want in. SP Tools, like literally, like we talked to Bill and we talked to Lee and they were like, you can do 235s? Yeah. It's a drag and drive event? Yeah. It's going to be awesome like it was last year? Yeah. All right, we're in. There we go. Like, that's it, Yeah.
They were a lot of fun.
They were a lot of fun. Tick Performance, like we called Jonathan when Jonathan owned Tick last year. He sold Tick Performance. But when he owned it, I called Jonathan. Jonathan's like, what do we need to do? You know what I mean? Stick shift racing? I'm in, because he wants to see stick shift racing continue. Yeah. And then the CPR, which was one of our stops, and they were one of our sponsors. Charlie Potter was great. Talked to him on the phone. He's like, "You're gonna bring." He's funny. He says, "You're gonna bring me a whole bunch of racers from all over the country, and you're gonna make them stop at my shop." And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, yeah, all right,
Yeah. What do you mean? I'm in.
You know what do you need?" And I'm like, "Awesome." You know what I mean? And and he was great. And their shop was great. A lot of people needed parts, and he had them. And he was a good sponsor. And then AFIS, they've been around for a long time, but their company name of AFIS is new. The people behind this, the people that run the show there, have been around in this industry for a very long time. Again, it was one of those, like, not only do we want to sponsor a class, we also want to give awards for other stuff that you guys just choose to give out. So, like, we gave out an award from HPT Turbo, right? And it was 50% off of any turbo they make.
Wow.
50% off. So they make, like, they sell turbos that get all the way up into the $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 range. So think about that, right? Like, that's, I mean, that was, they didn't have to. That was just like, we want to offer it. Like, so they said, we're going to sponsor the class. And you say, okay, great. This is what this is what the other sponsors were doing. This is kind of what we were anticipating. And I said, oh, okay, cool. And they said, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to add on, every winner of every class is going to get $100 off of a case of oil, right? Because they own HPL oils, HPL lubricants, right? So I said, wow, that's awesome. And then he said, well, we want HPT Turbo involved, so we're going to give you a 50% off any turbo. Pick who it goes to. Give it to whoever you want.
Wow.
And we actually gave it to Chris Vickers and Jeremy Tapscott, because Tapscott, yeah. We gave it to them because they embodied what we felt like was the spirit of Drag and Drive. You know what I mean? Like, helping everybody, no sleep. Chris really needed a shower. You know, it was awesome. They were great. You know what I mean? So all of our sponsors came in and did a killer job. And then, of course, a good friend of mine, Shannon Davis with Davis Technologies, conversation with Shannon to sponsor Unlimited was like, you want me to sponsor something? I said, yeah. What do you want? And I said, I don't want any cash. Okay, good. Well, what do you want? And I said, I tell him what I want. He's like, all right, fine. That's fine. Do I have to come? And I'm like, no, but you can. Okay. I think I'm going to come. That sounds cool. And I'm like, okay. And then, you know, he's like all over the place. Like, if you guys don't know who Davis Technologies is, or Shannon Davis, he's all over the place. He's an amazing guy, but he's all over the place. So it's what all of our sponsors were awesome to work with. And I was thrilled to have them, because without them, we wouldn't be able to, I mean, we'd be able to do this event, but it wouldn't be what it is. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, and, you know, everybody talks about, I think that's one great thing about these new events that are coming out, is they are so racer centric. Everybody is, how can we take care of the racers and give them the best experience possible? Because that's what it's going to take to weather the storm, if we are going to be oversaturated. I mean, I'll just tell you, guys that take care of the racers are going to survive.
I'm surprised. So, like, we had like our day zero where people were testing, and I was like, oh, you know, I'm just going to go get some hot dogs and chips and stuff. And we had a bunch left. So we were like cooking hot dogs like almost every day. And you'd be amazed.
And cheeseburgers.
How happy people are about a free hot dog.
Well, and here's the thing, like, for the people that have never attended, that are super interested in this stuff, they don't understand that there's no time to eat. You don't think about eating while you're doing it. Just imagine being in the shop on a day you're really getting stuff done. You look up and it's 4:00 and you haven't had anything to eat.
Well, it was actually Eric Tyler's idea for the first one. He's like, why don't we just go to like whatever Costco or Sam's Club and just load up on like hot dogs and like sodas and stuff. So like we ran around and like bought a whole bunch of random weird off-name brand sodas, like Mountain Lightning,
Dr. Perky,
like random like no-name stuff, right?
Dr. Perky, what the heck?
It's like a rip-off of Dr. Pepper, but it was like, you know, so, and like everybody loved it. They're like, yo, I need to get me a Mountain Lightning. And I'm like, oh, all right, there you go. Like, go to the cooler. But we literally just had coolers set up the whole event. And, you know, water and soda and whatnot. Hey, get whatever you want. Grab whatever you want out of the cooler. Make yourselves feel like you're at home. You know what I mean? We had the grill running most days. And you know, we just tried to give out everything that we could, you know, and because I want everybody to remember that, like, you have to eat, you know, you got to drink, you got to eat, you got to stay hydrated, you got to have fun. And we don't want you to think that we don't care about y'all. So, you know.
Yep. And I mean, this is probably more info than everybody needs to know right now, but my plan is to build out a full on, you know, drag and drive tote. It's got a grill on it. It's got spots for coolers and all that kind of stuff. So you can pull up to an event like this or host it like we plan to. And, you know, you're doing that. So, I mean, we saw obviously your event. We saw what Hyde does at Midwest Drags. And I mean, I've bought 2 coolers since then, spent $300 worth of money on ice cream and sodas and waters and stuff like that to carry around all weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I think we had probably like $1,000 out into like making sure we had enough drinks and like condiments and like Mara made chili for chili cheese dog or chili dogs.
Oh, cool.
You know, and like we got like a whole bunch of like, she didn't make chili, right? So she bought it.
4 cans.
Yeah. And then like, you know, making sure we got like brownies and like a bunch of like snacks, like, you know, sweets and stuff.
And chips.
And the whole idea, like it's all this stuff that like when we go racing, like when we race out of my car trailer is stocked with like food and stuff, right? Like I got a grill in there, like, cause you never know, like if it, you know, you're going to be somewhere for a whole day, I want to be able to eat something, right? Like we've already cooked like hibachi chicken on my grill, like at the racetrack. Pancakes, we've cooked pancakes, steaks, we've cooked everything on my little Blackstone grill.
We warm cookies.
Yeah, heating up cookies on the grill. But we were like, man, if we're gonna do an event, it should feel like everybody's just kind of in our pits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if we're gonna host an event, let's just make it feel as if everybody's just kind of hanging out in our pits, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what we tried to strive for, and I think people appreciated it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. So last question, then we'll let you guys go. We're a little over here, but when can we expect registration? I mean, midsummer, you think, something like that?
May 1st.
There you go, May 1st.
Oh, May 1st. There you go. 2 weeks. Let's go.
Early, and kind of let it ride through summer. Because there's so many events, so we want to give people that time, but we also know there are some people who are like, we're definitely coming. So if they want to lock in their spot now, they can. And
I will say that if we get a car count, I'm not going to say what the car count is, but if we get to a car count number, I'm going to close it. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Yep.
Like if we get to a car count number, we're just going to close it and be like, oh, because no matter what, this event, I don't want to ever compete with the drag weeks and the sick weeks and the, you know what I mean? Like and the Rocky Mountain. I don't want an event that like there's 5,000 people trying to get in and only 300 can come. I also don't want 350 people. I know that's 350 cars. I know that sounds dumb for me to say that as somebody who's but I don't want that, right?
Yeah.
The goal here is to have 100, 150 cars, right? Max. And I want everybody to be able to make the hits that they want to make, have a good time, and everybody, complete the event. So we have a number written down. If our registration gets there, then we're going to pull the plug. I'm not going to tell anybody where our registration is because I don't want anybody to try to scramble and I got to sign up and then they don't show up. When people sign up,
dude,
let me tell you, I'm biting my tongue right now.
Hey, it's 30, 35, 40%.
40
that sign up that don't make it to the end.
We
don't make it to day
66%.
Yeah, we did have a lot of people who reached out ahead of time. Their parts didn't come in, they were broke, and we appreciate that heads up. But there also were a few who did not let us know.
Yeah, we had a lot more signed up than showed up, and I understand it, but we're not going to we won't keep a public tally of where we're at on sign up. When we hit a certain number, I'm going to pull the plug on registration. If a bunch of people drop out, we'll have a waiting list. If they drop out early, like prior to the event, we'll have a waiting list. We'll reach out to people and we'll let them know. You know what I mean?
And with the circuit, I mean, just to talk about that for a second, like we've had that struggle this week. I've got people message me even today. I'm like, it's Wednesday. Our event starts Friday. Hey man, I'm just letting you know we're not going to be able to make it. I'm like, dude, I can't message somebody and go, hey, you want to jump off that wait list and come in? Oh man, maybe.
Shoot them a message because
Yeah.
at least you got 2 days notice.
Yeah.
We got a handful of messages on Monday morning.
Dang.
Hey, we
Yeah,
ain't gonna
that's-
make it. All right.
And we get it,
Yeah.
you know, shit happens. It does. And like, that's fine. Life happens.
We hope for more turnout.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh yeah. Yep.
It's a bummer, you know, but I will say, like, I was pretty bummed about the whole deal. And then like Monday afternoon, my buddy Josh said to me, he's like, man, you can't get too bummed about the turnout deal because the people that are here, this is their week. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
And like, if you're not amped about their week, they're not going to be amped about their week.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, you're right. I was like, it doesn't matter who didn't come. It matters who's here.
Yep.
So like,
Yep,
I made
that's right.
sure that like, no matter what, we were going to go above and beyond for everybody that was there. Cause that's what it really meant. You know what I mean? That's what it was really all about was them. You
Yeah.
know? So
Yeah. Well, cool.
yeah,
Well,
good luck this weekend with the circuit.
yeah. Thanks, dude.
If you want any advice, probably don't want to call me. I will say I think that our racers really liked us and the way we did things. But my word of advice is if you decide you're going to do something, just do it and don't listen to anybody else telling you to not do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you don't ever let a racer make the rules.
Yeah, we've been down that rabbit hole before.
Yeah, don't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't ever let a racer make the rules for an event, you know, that they want to compete in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's one thing that we did make early on in the group that I kind of bounce stuff. Hey, what do you think about this? Is this dumb? Ideas from is if they're racing in that class, they can't. We don't even think about their stuff.
if they have a car that they can modify for less than $5,000 to race in that class, you don't listen to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like simple as that. Like you just don't,
Yep.
you know, I hate to say it, but everybody is out for their own best interest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I understand it, and they should be. And a lot of times racers are out for their own best interest in how can I manipulate my way into a win. And and also don't get into I'm going to build a class for everybody.
Because then you're going to have 500 classes.
Right.
For 500 people who want different things.
Yeah, I was going to say you end up with 25 classes and classes that have 2 or 3 people in it. So there's a couple classes I bought trophies for that are lasered for 2023 that we won't give out because I cut them because there weren't enough cars in them. Like, hey, you're actually going to race over here.
Right. So right. You kind of just have to, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, we didn't have the participation in 235 that we had a lot more people sign up. I'm sorry, by the time stick shift, that's what it was. By the time stick shift was over by the end of the week, we had enough cars that broke where we were left with 2 cars. And I was like, so we had cash and stuff to give away for third place, right? And last place. So we looked at each other and was like, well, what do we give the cash out for? And I remember
wheel stand.
Yeah. We gave best wheelie. And we gave out the coveted crack smoking swindler award, right? So
what?
Yes. A guy had a beautiful Camaro and a crack smoking swindler tried to break into it when he was at the hotel. So we had a couple $100 and we had a couple $100 left. And I said, we're going to give him the crack smoking swindler award. Somebody tried to friggin' rip him off and break and steal his shit. Let's give him a couple $100. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And we gave him a couple $100 and it wasn't what it's going to cost for him to have it repaired and whatnot. But we all wanted him to know that I'm really sorry to hear about that happened.
Yeah.
There's a couple $100. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
that's pretty cool. I think that's always fun. And anytime anybody can get their registration money back, I think that's a good way, or get real close to it. Do it, almost race for free.
Yeah. They did. They got more than their registration money back. So it was a good time. It was good. So, thank you very much for having us, man. I appreciate it. Good luck this weekend.
Hey, thank you very much. And May 1st. So where can they sign up? SE Street-N-Yeet.com, right?
SE Street-Yeet.com.
Yeah.
And we'll post in the Street-N-Yeet group and on the official page. And we'll just share it all over the place so you guys can find it.
Yeah.
How cool. Well, Well, thank you for coming on and breaking the news here tonight on the fall event. That's exciting. We appreciate that for sure.
Thank you very much, man.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, guys. See
All right,
y'all.
see you guys.
Bye. Dude, how much fun are they?
Awesome.
I love them. They're so cool. And I know Laura works very hard, so it was cool to see her on and
Yeah.
her stepping in front of that camera a little bit. There was a couple weeks there where she wasn't going to get on with anybody. So it's cool that she's on tonight and talking about all that. And I mean, dude, breaking news. I mean, talk about how cool that is. And
Right. For sure.
4 tracks of racing to set your average and then a shootout and all the stuff. So here's my plan, guys. I was making timestamp notes during that interview. So we'll have some stuff that'll come out that'll talk about the new event, that'll talk about some of the stuff they were conversating about, and we'll be releasing those. I don't know if I can do one tomorrow, but so it's probably next week before I can get to those. We've got a lot of stuff. I still haven't packed. I haven't put one pair of underwear in a bag for clothes for the weekend, and I've still got to load the car down and all that kind of stuff. So my plan is for everybody that's still watching it is going to attend the circuit or watch it over the weekend. I'm going to load up the car, and then I'll be in Pittsburgh, Kansas tomorrow night around 7 or 7:30, which is about the time that Eric will show up, and then several other people. So I think the plan may be to grab dinner with everybody that wants to hang out, see if we can find a restaurant and get 40 or 50 people eating one last good meal before the event starts. Again, it is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We've got about 300 miles worth of driving, 2 days of racing. It's going to be a lot of fun. So thanks again to everybody that's been on tonight, man. We've had a crazy show, dude. We had Jeremy Tapscott and Chris Vickers on. We had, they repaired a drive shaft in the shop of a racetrack, and then we had Greg Jones of Engine Builder Magazine, and then obviously Devin and Laura on talking about the Southeast Street-N-Yeet. I mean, it's been a crazy night. So Jay said he is in to eat dinner with all of us. I think I was messaging him, and then the Kirchicks. There's a few other people. Jan Haas, I think, is going to be in to do that as well. So it's going to be a good time. And guys, like I said earlier, Eric and I are going to go live as often as possible. If you need more info, you can find the circuit on Facebook or thecircuitdnd.com. Dude, daily live streams. We're going to go live. Kind of a regroup at the end of every day, maybe.
I think we should be able to do a couple different stuff or different. I'm tired already. A couple different things throughout the week for sure.
Yeah. Yep. So we're going to do that. And then again, we're back on next Wednesday night. I don't even know who we're having on next Wednesday night. I don't think I've thought that far ahead yet. It's get me to the circuit, and then let's figure out the rest of the world after that. So,
yep.
All right, dude. Well, y'all, thanks a bunch. We'll see you the next time we see you live, and then definitely next Wednesday night if we have our brains back by then. I don't know. Later.
See ya.
Fun.